This is The Bad Listener with Danny Stroh.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, love it. Love it. Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing you like the idea since you jumped on.
I love podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
As a fan, as a viewer, as a listener, since 2011, 2012, I was listening to Joe Rogan on a platform called Justin.tv. So Justin.tv is the original Twitch platform. So prior to Twitch existing, Justin.tv was the first one to break ground for a live streaming platform. Go on Justin.tv, hit the button, go live, and have at it. So Justin.tv was the first thing that existed, and there was Joe Rogan in the green room prior to going on, and he'd have all these comedians. It was a great idea. He said, let me start in the green room, have all these comedians come on, and we hang out, and we just talk. So he went on Justin.tv, then he started having Joe Rogan Experience episode 1, and Joey Diaz was on like episode 3, and here I am, just stumbled upon, who knows, 2011, I was in college, I was a freshman in college, and I just came across a podcast app. Like I guess it was one of those apps. I guess it was the first iPhone that had it pre-installed, the podcast app. And I seen really? Joe Rogan Experience. I seen the name Joe Rogan from Fear Factor. Oh, let me hit it. Joey Diaz was the first. It was like literally episode 3. It was featuring Joey Diaz, Brian Redman, and Joey Diaz had me crying, laughing just from him talking. And I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. And I never listened to talk radio. So I never listened to Howard Stern. Right. I know. So here I am just driving to college in New Jersey, driving back home, just listening to Joe Rogan podcast now. And it just kept going. And then it turns out we had similar interests. And then I watched the podcast freaking become what it is today, among obviously the thousands of other podcasts. But it was interesting seeing it from its grassroots because he's essentially a godfather.
Right,
in some shape, way, or form.
He always gives credit to somebody else for being the godfather, like somebody was doing it before.
That's probably just him being humble.
Yeah, I mean, even if he wasn't the first guy who did it, he's the first guy who took it to that level. Sure. Like, you know what I mean? So, it almost doesn't matter. But yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like he started earlier than that, though. I think he started in 2009.
Oh, was it that early? Okay.
I think he started in 2009. I mean, he's told a lot of stories about how he started and everything. Yeah. I wasn't listening from the beginning. He wasn't even one of the first podcasts I was listening to, but he was one of the first, but I remember there was like 1 or 2 that I was listening to before his. And I remember his started getting big. I want to say I started really listening to his when he had, Mike Tyson on, right?
Okay.
That was probably like 2012 or something, 2013, something like that.
I'm sure Brian Redman was still there because he was like his co-host at the time. He was his engineer and co-host. He acted as both because now he has a different guy who, like, whatever, he'll say something in the back, like, and look things up for him. But Brian Redman,
Jamie,
it's a Jamie, right? So Brian Redman.
Well, he said him and Redman were the guy. That was like one of the stories he told. I think he said was him and Redman were like basically doing it on a couch with a laptop was like how they started.
That's how they were on that was Justin.tv. Exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But now I've never heard of Justin.tv. So that's not pre-YouTube. YouTube had to be out.
Twitch. So Justin.tv transitioned to Twitch. Same owners.
So what you couldn't I know, but I'm saying you couldn't live stream on YouTube at that time?
This YouTube, at this point.
Because you can live stream on YouTube now.
Correct, but at this point YouTube was an infant. It's not pre-YouTube, but it was a baby. It was still like America's Funny videos. Like that.
That was ad videos.
That was YouTube. Right. And it's funny because to string this along to music, YouTube was I started listening to music way too late in my life. Now, that's not to say music wasn't in my life at a young age, but I started like going out of my way to hit the play button way too late, like at the age of 16, 17. So no iPod my whole life. Oh, wow. No Walkman my whole life. Like, and I, as somebody now who's 32, loves music is live music, just any freaking form of music. I love. So it's interesting. YouTube helped me out because I can find anything. Like here I was on my laptop at the age of 16. Like, wow, I can oh my God. And the first song that like made me want to hit play for music is like a Kid Cudi song. Like, I just heard Kid Cudi. I was like, what? Wait, what is this? Because my whole introduction to music as a child was just like dance hall reggae. Like my uncle was a DJ, and like every Friday night, I come from an extremely large family, and every Friday night we'd have a gathering in my grandmother's apartment, and my uncle would set up his monitors and his deck, and he would start spinning. He would only spin salsa music and dance hall reggae. which makes me equate music to just dancing, like in party vibes. And that transition to like only listening to FM radio when my dad was driving. And then music became like, all right, 50 Cent is hip hop, and like that kind of Get Rich or Die Trying. Still had no idea what KRS-One was. Still had no idea who Nas was. The only H to the Izzos, what I related Jay-Z to. So it took me to like literally listening to a Kid Cudi song to be like, oh, like music. Wait, like hold on. My whole idea of music is kind of jaded. Like I had no idea. I had no idea music could speak to you, and you can learn things through music, and you can relate to the singer or the artist, or you can feel a bass line and go, whoa, I feel that in my soul, not just dancing. I just equated it as a partying, drinking, and like up tempo. That's what dancehall reggae is too. Right. So that's and I liked it. I liked dancehall reggae, but that's all music was. Just dancehall reggae. No premise of rock, zero understanding of rock, even hip hop. Like just zero. So I started like ground zero at the age of 16, 17. So my world freaking opened up with Kid Cudi, Man on the Moon. I listened to Man on the Moon album, and I had it on a replay like a junkie. Like I was an addict. I couldn't stop hitting play. Like I had YouTube up on my laptop at the age of 16. As a junior in high school, I would come home from school, go into my little bedroom, I'd sit on my bed and just hit play the whole album. I was like, wow, this is, I get it. Like this guy's talking to me. This is kind of crazy. This is kind of crazy. So Kid Cudi was really played a major role, that album, Man on the Moon. And then that led to J. Cole pretty early. And this is before J. Cole's first album, Cold World, The Sideline Story was his first album. Prior to that, he had a mixtape called, he had a few mixtapes out, but he had that mixtape called The Warm Up. And I pretty quickly like was like, all right, I heard Man on the Moon 5,000 times, like over the last 3 months, like on repeat. Let's see where the recommended, and at that point, YouTube's recommended videos, their algorithm was pretty solid, and it led me to a Lupe Fiasco song, and it led me to a J. Cole song, and I heard J. Cole's The Warm Up, and now I'm really blown away. Now I'm like, this guy is speaking what I'm like going through, like all these questions I have in my head about life for this young 16-year-old. This guy's talking about it. Wow, music could do that? Oh my God. Then you start talking to people like, yo, you heard about this guy, J. Cole? They're like, yeah, I never heard him. Show me. And you show them. And then they go, oh, have you ever heard of like other hip hop artists? I'm like, nah. They're like, you never heard of Big L? Like, no, show me. Then I hear a Big L song. I'm like, wait, hold on. This is too much. So like, yeah, that period of my life from like 16 to 19 to 20, I was a J. Cole stan, like the biggest stan ever. Like J. Cole was like, I felt like one with him. Like, this is my guy. Like, he is talking exactly what I need to hear. And I was so excited for his first album. That leads us to our albums we picked. J. Cole, right?
Yeah.
Born Center.
Born Center is his second full album.
Second full album. Next to the Cold World Silent Story was the debut album. So he had released a mixtape first called The Come Up. Then he released a mixtape called The Warm Up. Now, after The Warm Up, he got signed. So after the warm-up, Jay-Z signed him.
Rock's Nation.
Yeah, so Jay-Z signed, and his story was great. Again, I'm a J. Cole stan at the point. Every day is J. Cole. Any new information, any blog posts, I am fully aware of it at that point. Really? Like, I am J. Cole'd out. I'm not interested, honestly, in anybody else. Like, whatever, Kid Cudi, thank you. I appreciate you opening the door, but J. Cole is my guy. Thank you, Cudi. Like, that's how I was thinking, like, appreciate you. And then Lupe, same thing. I was like, wow, I was appreciating Lupe Fiasco's music. Like, wow, you're really good. But J. Cole's my guy. So I would keep track of everything. And, hearing his story was great because he had stood outside the Rockefeller building in the rain. It sounds like cinematic, but I believe him. And he had given his mixtape to Jay-Z and whatever. He has a call back from Jay-Z and gets signed. Now, I'm pumped up for his first album, just like the rest of the J. Cole stands that are building up slowly but surely. And the album never comes. Like when I say J. Cole signed to Rockefeller, boom, all right. Next thing logically is, all right, let's get an album. He still doesn't have a debut album. We went about 3 years, with no album. I'm like, dude, like, I need an album. You're killing me. Like, let's go. Like, you got signed by Jay-Z, is a dream come true. Then he dropped Friday Night Lights in between the warm-up and his first album. And Friday Night Lights is a mixtape that's just phenomenal work. It's so good. It's like start to bottom. It's just so good. So here I am as a fan, like, yes, all right, at least you gave us something. You held me down for a little bit. And then finally the first album comes and I become a J. Cole hater, like a full-blown hater. And I'm so disappointed. I had all years and years and years of love for this man and his music, and he drops his debut album, and I feel like he let me down, like as a friend. Like I feel like that was my homie, and I expected so much out of him, and he drops his fucking debut album, excuse my language, and he dropped the ball, and I was like, wow. And he made all that up to me when Born Sinner released. I heard Born Sinner, and I was like, I was a breath of fresh air. I was like, thank you for explaining yourself. Thank you for keeping it real, coming back and saying he kind of in that album he kind of acknowledges like I messed up, like my bad to his fans. Right. You know, he has a song "Let Nas Down" on there.
Yeah.
And Nas,
one of the best songs.
And Nas responded. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Oh yeah.
So Nas has a song called "Made Nas Proud." So like you know,
oh wow,
you know you're somebody if you make a song just saying "Let Nas Down" and you know you speak about it, and then Nas replies in a song himself. Imagine what that felt like.
That was confusing because did he know Nas at the time?
So
that was
he ran into Nas on a plane.
Oh, okay.
And he goes, "Yo, Nas, hey, check this out.
Right.
I made this song, gave the headphones to freaking Nas before it was released, before Born Sinner came out."
Yeah.
And Nas goes, "Whoa," you know, and he goes into the studio and records "Made Nas Proud," which is a whole song, freaking 3-verse song about talking to J. Cole, saying, "Yo, don't worry, it's so good. You didn't mess up that bad, bro.
Right.
I've been there." Basically saying like, "You're good. We're happy." You know, what was your thoughts on that album? I mean,
Born Sinner?
Yeah.
Well, first I'm gonna have to give backstory. So
yeah,
I mean I've explained this a couple times, but I grew up on. I don't want to say I grew up on hip hop. I grew up on whatever my dad listened to when I was really young. My dad was a classic rock guy. He had 104.3 on every day.
How about like at home? He was playing records.
He was playing. We had CDs. He never had. I mean, he had records, but he didn't play them. I mean, we played. You know, he had like Guns N' Roses. He'd play. He was a big Kings fan, a big Beatles fan.
So you hanging at the house, you'd hear random.
That was like basically all I was exposed to growing up was classic rock. He was a big classic rock guy, you know. So that everything that I listened to was classic rock. And it wasn't until. And I always tell a story that I wasn't until I think I was in 3rd grade and I found this was probably like 1997, I want to say. They had TRL, Total Request Live. And I remember that would come on like right as I would get home from school. So I would get home and that would come on at 3 o'clock. So I'd watch that. And like that was my exposure then to like new music I'd never heard before. There was Blink-182. And then that was a big time when Britney Spears just came out with her first album. It was huge. You know, NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. And then of course, one of the albums that shaped my whole life was Korn's Follow the Leader album came out, and they had the Freak on a Leash video at #1 for however many weeks, and I became a huge Korn fan because of that. And then the same thing with Limp Bizkit, they had their Significant Other album out, so I became like.
That's to say TRL broadcasted mainly pop.
So TRL was just whatever music videos were like. I guess they voted, so they like you call it in or however they did it, and it was like whatever music videos were popular. So I mean, like it was a lot of like Britney Spears, and NSYNC,
but they still have the Korn.
But that Korn Freak on a Leash video was like a huge video. I mean, cinematically is actually probably one of the most iconic music videos in the history of music videos. But then, what was it? Nookie by Limp Bizkit. That was another big video was on there. He gets arrested at the end of the video, which he got arrested in real life, I'm pretty sure. And I remember him even coming on TRL when that video was up there huge. That was like a time. So whatever like was on TRL at that time was like what I was exposed to. And I became huge. And then I remember, that's how like I got into hip hop too through there. One of the big songs I remember was they had that tribute album to Tupac where he had that song Changes. And that was like another big song. And I remember listening to Tupac from there. And then I remember like just getting into hip hop, started listening to Hot 97. So it was weird. I had this parallel. I was listening to like metal music, like the new metal scene, the alternative metal scene, which was like Korn, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park when they had come out, and System of a Down, those guys. And I was listening to hip hop too, and I got really big into hip hop. But again, this was when like the first Eminem album came out. Slim Shady LP had come out. Eminem became huge at that time. So I was super into hip hop. from like basically from that like 97 into like the early 2000s. And then I remember because like by the time it was like, I'm trying to think when 50 Cent's album Get Rich or Die Trying came out in 03, I want to say, somewhere maybe 02 or 03. By the time, like, I remember I thought that album was like one of the most amazing albums.
Right.
I probably played that like a million times over and over.
Yeah.
But by the time like I was like a freshman in high school, I mean, hip hop, I mean, this was like 04, 05. Hip hop had become so just commercialized and just like oversaturated. I just like couldn't listen to it anymore.
Right.
Like it just became so like a popularity contest and who, you know, who's rapping about who's got more money. And it was just like, I was so turned off by hip hop at that time. I completely stopped listening to it. And it was funny too, because at that point I had also started listening to classic rock on my own. Like it was funny. Like I had started hanging out with some guys who like came in and started like, I should, you know, listening to, you know, it was big at 104.3 every year does the top 1,043 greatest rock songs of all time. And I remember we were listening to them like day by day, like all the songs they were just, you know, doing song by song, we were talking about. But I actually got really back into all these songs that I'd listened to growing up. I actually had this like newfound appreciation for it. So I started listening to classic rock again at this point, and that led to me listening to or finding out about like new rock and stuff like that. So from there on, I was really just listening to like rock and roll.
Yeah, hip hop took the backside.
Oh, I mean, I would still listen to like 90s hip hop and stuff like that. I'd go back and listen to like the Biggie, all the stuff from the 90s I love.
Sure.
But I was like, I had like put my foot down. Like, I'm not listening to it. Hip hop is dead. Like, I'll listen to 90s hip hop all day, but I can't listen to the new stuff. Like, I can't do it. And I wouldn't even look at the new stuff, wouldn't even turn on the radio for hip hop, like nothing. I was like basically just rock and metal. And I remember like when I graduated high school, I was like really into metal at that point. I listened to a lot of metal. And it wasn't until I think, cause I did like 7 years in college. It wasn't until I was in college. I actually had a professor who was like a huge hip hop guy. And, I mean, his main guy was Jay-Z. He was like a huge Jay-Z fan, but like, you know, he wanted to talk. I remember I had views on Jay-Z, which he, you know, obviously he felt very differently about Jay-Z, but you know, he'd be like, well, who do you listen to now? And I'm like, there's nobody good now. And he was like, no. I was like, dude, hip hop's dead. It's all garbage now. And he'd be like, no. He goes, and I remember, because this is what got me back into hip hop. He goes, there's this dude out right now. It just came out with an album. His name is Kendrick Lamar. You gotta go listen to this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'll go listen to him, whatever. And he was like, he's got this new album called Good Kid, Mad City.
Yeah, you gotta
go
hear
listen to Good Kid,
I've had that.
City.
People have had that conversation.
And,
yeah, you gotta hear it.
It was just so funny because I was like reluctantly, I was like, okay, it's gonna be so great. Like,
and Backstreet Freestyle drops.
A couple years later, I'm like, this is the greatest album I've ever heard in all hip hop. But yeah, so like that, and I think that must have been around 2012, 2013.
Yeah,
this was.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I was like, I'll start listening to hip hop now. So like in reference to that,
so Kendrick kind of like allowed you to.
Well, I mean, when I heard that, I had like put my foot back in, like, all right, and I still think in like realistically, I still think from 2000 to 2010, hip hop was dead. There was, there was underground hip hop that was good.
It was just a mess because Southern music was taking over. It was just a mess. It was a messy era.
Crazy stuff going on. I mean, listen, obviously Eminem was really big at that. I mean, Kanye West had all his great albums during them. I'm not taking that, but and there was a lot of great underground guys that, again, like I say, like if there was underground hip hop from 2000 to 2010, how were you hearing it? Because like internet wasn't really big yet. You weren't able to really use the internet to find.
How
you know what I mean?
Like
like now,
you had mercy to Hot 97, 105.
Well, you were at mercy to record labels. Like you were at mercy to the radio, which was controlled by record labels. So like if you couldn't see it on TV or hear it on the radio, it was like, how are you finding? There was no way to find it. Like I had that problem for years, even with rock music. I was like, how do I find new rock? I'm like, I was like looking up who played on Saturday Night Live, like to figure out who a new rock band was because there was no way to figure it out.
Wow.
So it was funny though because. So my introduction to J. Cole was the 2014 Forest Hills album, right? Which a lot of people say is his best album, but I listened to the album. I thought it was good. I wasn't blown away by it. I was, and still to say, I'm never really blown away by anything J. Cole does. So Born Sinner, like the songs on Born Sinner, I had maybe gone back and heard a few of them before, but I wasn't super familiar with the album. And it's funny because it wasn't until this last album came out, guys texted me, dude, you got to listen to the new J. Cole and new J. Cole. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then I saw the reviews were going crazy with it. I was like, all right, I'll listen to it. But J. Cole's not bad. Here's the thing with J. Cole. Like, you know what? I actually had a different view on him, probably because of the 2014 Forest Hills album, as far as like his stuff being more poppy than it actually is. He's actually more of a conscious hip hop artist, which, you can tell when you listen, even when you listen to Born Sinner, which Born Sinner has got some poppy songs on it, but he's more of a conscious hip hop artist. So I do have a lot more respect for him now, but I was never big into him, but it was funny listening to him and going back with his music. That's why I kind of picked, I think I kind of equated his style very similar to Lupe Fiasco, which is why I picked the reason I picked the Tetsuo and Youth album was that was another album at that time that had come out by Lupe that I had heard and I was very blown away. I was very blown away for a number of reasons. One, because I heard the Kick Push and that whole Food and Liquor album.
The Food and Liquor is a classic, I think.
It is. Those two were good, but when he came out with Lasers, I mean, dude.
Yeah, but there's a narrative behind Lasers, right? You know, with the Atlantic Records and I was heavily into that. Because I was a Lupe fan from the Cool of Food and Liquor, and then when, like you said, when Lasers dropped, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And there was a lot going on there with Atlantic Records, and he had a 3D O'Connor. I don't know, all the business side of things.
There was a big, I don't know. They didn't like his red. They tried to change some of the songs. I don't know. I heard a whole bunch of stuff, but
you didn't like Lasers at all.
No, I don't. I think Lasers is hard to listen to. But I even think the album after that, where he did the Food and Liquor too, I think that was a horrible album too. And supposedly he wrote that on the backside by himself while the issue with Lasers was going on. So I had given up on Lupe. He had his shot. He did his two
prior
albums, and that was it.
Tetsuo and Youth.
And then when that album came out, that to me was like, oh, he's on a whole nother level now. Like he's like,
the album's a masterpiece.
Oh, it's
Van Gogh. It's Mozart. It's a masterpiece. It's a rapper's rapper.
And I mean,
it's a masterpiece.
I want to say almost everything he came out with after that, besides Droga's Light. Droga's Light was ridiculous, but like everything else that he had done after that was just so good. It was weird that he had this weird period where Lasers and the second Food and Liquor came out, because everything up until Samurai, I don't know if you heard Samurai.
I haven't. Never. Not a single song.
So Samurai he did in 2024.
Is that the album right after Tetsuo and You?
No. I think he did Droga's Wave.
Yeah.
I think Droga's Light came out after, which Droga's Light was terrible, but then he did Droga's Wave, which was great.
Yeah.
And then he did Drill Music in Zion, which was also great. And they did Samurai,
which I
which
gotta listen to all that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I mean, they're all very, very good. But when he did Samurai, he came out in 2024. That album, I was actually the only reason I picked Tetsuo and Youth over Samurai was because of the timing of when that album came out, and because of the impact it had on me to keep listening to Lupe after I had basically given up on him from the albums he came out.
What's your favorite song on Tetsuo and Youth?
Mural is. I mean, Mural is really a masterpiece. I mean, I think it's probably the best song he's ever done.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love almost every song on that album. I think is really good, put together very well. You know, the way he's able to tell a lot of stories with that album. I mean, even the production, everything is really put together very well. And that's, the impact that album had on me when I had heard it after what I had thought of Lupe from before that. It really blew me away and kind of put me on a new perspective. But like that, at that point in time, again, because I think that album came out, I was either 2014 or 2015.
Right.
But when that album came out, like that was me rediscovering hip hop and going back a couple of years to stuff I missed, and then being able to pick up on all this new stuff that was coming out, all these new styles that were coming out. So from that, at that point, when I had heard, in I think it was 2013, maybe I had heard Good Kid, Mad City. At that point, I was like full back into hip hop, as far as like now I have my finger on the pulse of every hip hop album coming out. Like, you know what I mean?
Nice.
So, I look at it much differently, but Yeah, I mean, what I've learned over the years, I think, is there's just kind of like an ebb and flow, and there's just kind of waves as far as with different genres where genres kind of fall off. Like I tell people right now, for rock music, there's nothing.
They're down bad.
There's
huh?
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the 2000s, you had like a lot of good rock, and then from 2010 on, it kind of like fell off as far as there's really not that many artists and not that many albums. Like I do the albums of the year every year, and for rock, it's almost impossible. Like I'm just throwing names out there because they all mean nothing to me.
I wonder if it's the fact that so many indie bands or like just new up and coming bands can easily release music, that everybody's just releasing so much music that it's hard for one band or so to just break through.
I don't know. I mean, it almost seems like a lot of bands are trying. It's almost like they're trying too hard. It feels like they're trying to do something new and different and have a new sound and try to be super artsy. And it's just like, and you know, and it's not even. I'm not afraid of. I mean, when I listen to an artist that has a very different sound, it's going to take me a while to get into them. But I'm not. I'm not afraid to give it a listen to. Like, and there's a lot of, I don't know how familiar you are with guys like Danny Brown. Like, you ever listen to guys like Danny Brown?
Not really.
Or, well, you're familiar with Tyler, the Creator.
So he's Danny Brown's affiliated.
No, they're not affiliated, but I'm just saying what Tyler did with hip hop.
It's pretty legendary. Yeah.
I mean, he's changing the sound of hip hop. You know what I mean? Danny Brown did the same thing, just in a different way.
Yeah.
But, guys like that, like, I'm not afraid of somebody coming in with something new and making it sound good.
It's safe to say Cudi did the same thing, right?
Yeah, maybe. I guess.
Emotional stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he had a very specific style, I guess. And I guess at the time, maybe it would sound very new. I mean, it's hard because that, like I said, Kid Cudi was like the end of the 2000s, right? Yeah. So I wasn't really listening to. Yeah, I mean, I'd go back and listen, but when you go back 10 years, it's not that crazy. Like, you know what I mean? If I go back 6, 7, 8 years. But yeah, I'm sure I know his style is obviously very different.
Yeah, it's just different than the traditional.
Coined him with like the stoner hip hop.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know who else would be in that. Yeah, but he's stoner hip hop, I would say. Yeah. Let me ask you this though. I mean, I'll ask you a question, just a different question. Rock. What actually makes rock rock?
What do you mean?
Like, how do we define rock? Like, because first of all, listening to rock growing up, never, ever, and here I am, 32 years old, still never, ever will I put on
any type of genre of rock.
Any. Zero. Like, I'm never going on Spotify or Apple Music and playing a rock song. Okay. With that being said, what makes rock rock? Like, what makes that genre
kind of a vague question? What makes hip hop hip hop? I mean,
I guess like the types of beats, I guess, but like it's just if you have a band.
Yeah.
Like, is there something specific that'll make it a rock band? I know if
versus
hip hop, somebody's we have an MC, we have.
Well, I mean, if you have
kind of a loop sample, elements like these elements that make hip hop, right?
Well, I mean,
what are the elements of rock?
Well, it depends on the genre, I guess. I mean, rock has been around for a very long time. So, I mean, depending on that's why classic rock technically isn't even a genre, but there's different sounds for every genre, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the beginning, you have Elvis. I mean, that was the essential rock and roll, right? You had the guys like Elvis and stuff like that. So that was where they coined that rock and roll sound. I think like Chuck Berry and stuff like that. And then you get into, when you get into the 60s now, you have the Beatles are kind of like pop rock, right? They kind of do like that beat rock and stuff like that. And then there's, you get the psychedelic rock from.
I guess my question was like more leaning towards just like, is there a specific element that makes rock rock? Is there something that needs to be done?
I mean, you're talking about a band, right? If you have a band, what other genre could you be playing with your band?
I guess you could be playing jazz, right? What makes jazz?
Well,
jazz, right?
I mean, but the instruments would be wildly different.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not going to have two guitars, a bass, and a drum and call it a jazz band.
Right.
You're going to have a saxophone, a trumpet, you know what I mean? That's
okay.
Kind of different.
But yeah, it's just my rock knowledge is freaking ground zero. My listening history of rock is ground zero. I mean, I just zero exposure to rock.
Okay.
My whole life, just zero exposure.
I mean, it can't be zero exposure. I mean, you have to be in a situation where you hear rock music.
Right. In some shape, way, or form, in a bar or something, right?
Yeah, or somewhere.
Then what? Then you're really only limited to those moments. And
of course.
yeah, it's just So I guess zero's a bad, right? Zero would be bad, but very limited.
Very limited, yeah. Okay.
Extremely.
And they don't even have rock on the radio anymore, so forget about that.
Right, and when they did, I never knew the channel existed.
Yeah.
I never knew 104. I don't even know when you mentioned 104.3.
Oh, you never even heard of it? Oh, yeah. 104.3 plays strictly classic rock. So they only play rock. Oh, yeah. They're still they're probably one of the most popular channels in New York. I mean, they play anything from like 60s rock to like 80s rock. And now this is like the argument I have with people because classic rock changes on the time period, right? So now they'll play like, well, I'm talking to you about rock like you're going to know, but like they'll play like 90s rock now. And I'm like, that's not classic rock. Right. Like I grew up in the 90s.
Right.
Like, well, no, now it's classic rock because the timeline changes.
Nirvana's classic rock.
Right. Nirvana. That was the example I'm going to play. They'll play Nirvana and it's like, all right, that's from the 90s. So, I mean, that's not really classic rock to me is like 60s, 70s, and like maybe into the 80s. But even when you get into like a lot of 80s rock is a whole nother.
I've been in situations where like I've been, like I said, music. I love music. So I just end up in situations around music a lot. Mm-hmm. So I ended up in a situation where this guy was playing the acoustic guitar and he's playing like, I forget the name of the Beatles song, but it's a very famous Beatles song. And I'm like, I'm hearing it for the first time, versus everyone around me around this campfire has heard this Beatles song thousands of times. And I'm like, yo, what did you just write that? Did you just write the craziest song?
They made a movie about that.
Really?
There's a movie that came out a couple of years ago. So the theme of the movie was like this guy wanted to be like a musician. I forget the exact way it started, but however it was, he basically like wished that the Beatles didn't exist so that he can rewrite all the Beatles songs. So it was like him in present day, but like writing Beatles songs. You're like, this guy's a genius.
That was me. That was me. I was blown away. I was like, bro, I was looking at the person next to me like, yo, am I the only one hearing this? Like, why isn't everyone like praising this guy? Meanwhile, somebody's like, yo, you never heard that song?
Yeah.
Like, nah, I haven't. So, with that being said, I still have to make it a duty to.
Well, I was going to say, after that, you never even did a deep dive into the Beatles after that?
I still haven't. And I have to do it. I know I have to do it. Yeah, exactly, right? It's right there in the iPhone. Yeah. I still have to do it, and I will. I know I will. I will. I have to. Sometimes it's intimidating. Yeah. Because it's so vast.
Well, yes. When you haven't listened to any,
you almost don't know where to start. Yeah. It's so vast.
It's a good place to start.
It's intimidating. It's intimidating.
Yeah. Listen, I could give you start-off points if you want start-off points on rock, but even like with classic rock where the genres are so limited, there's still such a vast array of rock from when you jump from like Led Zeppelin or Rolling Stones and then you jump to the Beatles. Like, it's funny, like I didn't even grow appreciation. I knew every Beatles song growing up. I never even grew appreciation to it until like recently because they were, to me in my mind, in comparison to bands like the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin, they were such like this poppy, girly rock. I was like, I can't listen to this. Like, I want to listen to like the harder stuff. I want to listen to like the big rock songs or whatever. So,
but that's interesting that you had this duality though of like the hip hop, that 90s hip hop, and you had the rock. So you were open-minded. You weren't just like, forget all that hip hop stuff. And,
well, I mean, listen, I try to tell people I was closed-minded. I used to be closed-minded about genres because, like, again, I think it's what you're exposed to. Sure. So just because I was exposed to those genres, I was able to have an appreciation for them. And I'm a huge advocate for all genres of music, but I always try to get more and more people to listen to country because right now country is in a golden era where it's amazing. And there's so many people like, oh, I hate country. And it's like, but you only hate what you're like. So the analogy I give, like people are like, oh, I hate country. And I'm like, okay, well, you like hip hop. Oh yeah, I love hip hop. I'm like, okay, well, what if you only heard the hip hop that's played on Hot 97 right now?
Yeah.
And he'd be like, well, that's like the worst hip hop. I'm like, well, that's all you've been exposed to with country music.
Right. Yeah.
It's the same analogy. It's, you're exposed to the worst of it. So like, that's what you think it is. Sure. And it's, I get it. I hated it. I didn't listen to country until, I think again, probably around 2015, I was exposed to a Sturgill Simpson album that blew me away.
Yeah. Sturgill Simpson. My oldest brother, who would definitely not be listening to country, sat me down in his pickup truck and said, Steve, you got to hear this. And Sturgill Simpson was actually definitely one of the artists he exposed me to.
He's one of the best out right now.
But the seriousness of like, Steve, you got to hear this is almost equating to me in 2012. I was playing college basketball and I was preaching J. Cole, and this guy was like, "You never heard Good Kid, Mad City?" You know, kind of like to your story. It's very similar. Like, you never heard Good Kid, Mad City? All right, we're going back to my dorm right now, and you're listening to Good Kid, Mad City. And that was kind of my oldest brother's energy with this country guy.
Right.
An array of different country guys. So yeah, I could see what you mean, you know, and I was sitting in that truck like, whoa, like, all right, yeah, you know, and it's hitting a spot. It's hitting a spot for him, you know, it's striking a chord.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, music, you know, good music should strike,
Yeah.
you know, some kind of chord within us. So whether that be good country, good hip hop, good rock, the idea is that, you know, we kind of, that's the beauty of music, right? I mean,
Right.
I love live music, so I frequent, you know, jazz clubs. I don't want to say clubs, a jazz club. I frequent a lot in Manhattan Village, Blue Note
The Blue
Jazz
Note.
Club.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Freaking-
got to be the most legendary ones, I would think.
I don't really have anything else to. It's the only jazz club I've ever been to, and I just keep going back. I've went many years ago for the first time for a late night. They would have midnight hip hop shows. So guys like Master Ace.
Oh, really? Wow.
Talib Kweli, Mos Def has done a bunch of sets where they'll do an 8:30 show will be a jazz musician, a 10 o'clock show will be a jazz musician, and then a 12 a.m. show will be the hip hop guy. They'll come in with the house jazz band or maybe his people and rock out and do their thing. And I've had so many great moments there. And I just keep going back now. And like anytime I go there, it's just a great experience. I recommend it.
You listen to jazz? Or you have a appreciation for jazz? Or not?
Definitely never ever go to my Spotify and open up jazz, but I do have a deep appreciation for jazz, specifically live.
Okay, yeah.
So specifically the jazz club ideology more than like listening to jazz while I'm driving. With that being said, growing up, my dad did play a radio station 101.9. So smooth jazz CD 101.9. So I did hear that growing up, but I couldn't make sense of it. Like, what are we doing? We're just listening to sounds here. I had no music, you know, I was really growing up. I just had no understanding of music whatsoever. So, so I don't listen to jazz now, I'd say on my own time, just in the jazz club.
Okay.
For sure. And this guy's like Robert Glasper. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he does a whole month called Robtober every October. And he has a different guest every day of October. October 1st to the last day, he's at Blue Note. And it's so legendary. Like, and Dave Chappelle's always there. Like, you never know what's going to happen. It's a very tiny basement. Like, it's so epic. So yeah, my appreciation for live music goes deep, and a lot of it has to do with Blue Note Jazz Club. Lupe Fiasco was the first show I've ever been to live.
Oh wow!
Unfortunately,
not J. Cole.
No, yeah, Lupe Fiasco. Unfortunately, well, J. Cole didn't release an album yet. He wasn't even touring.
Oh, this is okay.
So unfortunately, this was Lasers tour. But it was my first album, and he's a great performer, so I was happy. I was a happy customer. I was a happy paying customer. I thought he did a great job performing. So that
college professor
kind of what was that?
Lupe's a college professor.
Yeah. Teaching the elements of rhyme. And if anybody else is qualified, I don't know. He's pretty qualified. He seems like, you know, he's a pretty good college professor to teach that kind of stuff.
He's a very smart guy. You could tell.
I've never heard somebody be able to say one line that means 5 different things.
Yeah.
Better than anybody, than him. I mean, he says one sentence that has 4 meanings to it. How do you do that? And each syllable is relating to another deeper meaning. And he's doing it, and he puts a whole verse together like that.
Oh, yeah.
Again, and then again, and then again, and then again. It doesn't stop. It's pretty epic. I don't know who does that. I can't. It's pretty epic to do that. There's storytellers, there's punchliners, there's witty people.
Yeah.
To say like a whole verse and it has 4 different meanings that are all kind of interconnected and you have to listen to the damn verse 33 times to understand the first 4 lines and be like, oh, you catch it. Oh, wow. That means that too. Oh my God. That's pretty epic. And a lot of his music does that. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. And the speed he has. I mean, he's got a lot of different techniques.
Versatility is important.
Yeah.
As a listener, I love versatility. Don't a lot of those mainstream guys, we talk about the 2000s and one trick pony. Like, I don't want to hit. I know you could do that. I got it. I know with a little auto tune, you can make the girls dance. I got you. And you make your money like that. But let me see some versatility. Like, let me see Lupe's, Well,
I mean, that's what hip hop became about. That's kind of why it went that way. If you were a really good hip hop artist, you were probably underground because you were focused more on your ability to make rhymes and stuff, where as the record labels only cared about selling records and making money.
Right.
So all the music that you heard was, based around what could be played in a club.
Strip club music.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, nightclub, strip club. music,
right?
which isn't really appealing to the brain or heart.
No, but it's appealing to people who don't really listen to hip hop music.
Right. Yeah. Who wants to be in the club having a drink and seeing those things, seeing the effects of those things.
I mean, I've heard people make some pretty crazy arguments. Somebody tried to tell me Drake was the greatest hip hop artist of all time.
Wow. That's a special statement. God bless him. God bless that.
Like, all right. I'm like,
and there's Drake lovers. I get it. There's Drake stands. But that's a deep statement. There's just so much.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
So much
J. Cole's your favorite hip hop artist of all time.
All time.
But is he the greatest hip hop artist?
No.
Okay. So who do you think is the greatest?
Oof. The greatest hip hop of all time. So like, obviously that's super subjective, right? There's clearly no objectively greatest hip hop artist, right?
If I was to ask you what's the greatest hip hop album of all time, I personally feel like there can only be two. And if you don't say one of the two,
yeah.
Then
all right,
it's
so
like
we're putting Illmatic. We're putting Illmatic in there.
So it's I think, in my personal opinion,
yes, Illmatic's in there.
If we're talking about albums, we're talking about Illmatic or 36 Chambers. If you don't say Illmatic or 36 Chambers, I don't know what else you could possibly think comes close to those two albums. But
Wu-Tang is his own saga. Liquid Swords and all the stuff they were doing. Like, that's its own. To me, that's like, I can't even put them in the same category as a lot of these guys because what they were doing is so like out of this universe that I don't know. Like what Wu-Tang was doing was crazy.
I mean, Wu-Tang was. I mean,
they were out the block. They were in our neighborhood.
I know.
It's great.
Did you watch the show that they did about him?
I did it a little bit. Not.
Well,
not thoroughly.
They do a good. I mean, I don't know how. Obviously, I don't know how accurate it is, but as far as the story goes, it's pretty impressive when you really figure out how they got together and what RZA had to do to get all of them on the same album. Like, half of them hated each other, and he had to bring them in separately to do their verses.
Yeah, I guess that
separately.
first season was a good representation.
Oh,
of that,
yeah,
right?
and it's pretty wild, like, because you would think to put that album together is almost impossible. Like, guys would have gave up. Like, you know what I mean? He just happened to hear these guys and get them to come in.
Nobody's popular. It's not like he got a bunch of popular artists.
Oh, no. He got a bunch of
dudes.
people he knew growing up and was just like, hey, I like the way you rap. Let's do a couple.
It's crazy, right? The talent of Jizza, the talent of these guys.
People think of Wu-Tang like, oh, it's a group of friends. And no, it was not a group of friends. It was a project by RZA to get all these guys to come in and do all these different verses.
Yeah.
And when you see what he had to do to get that album done, I mean, if you were somebody like a fly on the wall watching what he was doing and saying like, this is going to turn out terribly because these guys don't even like each other. You can't even get three of them in the room at the same time. And then that's why you see they had all these problems touring. It was like getting all these guys together and like it's too many different people and too many different personalities and
from different areas, different rivalry projects. Who's from Buckhead, who's from Stapleton.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of nuts. Like just to even get that album done, let alone be one of the greatest albums of all time, is so wild.
That's what I was saying. What they accomplished is not.
You get a new appreciation for RZA is what you do, and I wouldn't put any of those guys, as the greatest hip hop artist of all time. I think that was a project done by RZA that, he created one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time. But individually, I'm not going to say Method Man or RZA or Ghostface is one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time. I mean,
individually, right?
Right. That's when people will. That's why I like Nas so much, because Nas, you can argue, is one of the greatest hip hop artists of all time.
Yeah, so I mean, J. Cole just holds a special personal relationship with me. With what I was going through in my life. How I got introduced to music, like,
of course,
he that was my end. So I have a special, connection. The amount of times I've seen him live is ridiculous. I can't even. It goes on that number. Who knows? If he's in the area.
Oh, you don't miss a show.
Oh, I'm there. Yeah, I'll be at the Full Love show. Yeah, I love it.
Okay,
let's go. Like, yeah. So J. Cole is definitely my favorite, but the greatest. I won't give him the greatest. The guys is so tough, Like we talked about greatest albums. Illmatic is obviously up there. What Nas accomplished at a young age is insane. His pen is up there with you can put his pen against anybody.
I think it's crazy that he started making really good albums again, because for a long time he really wasn't doing anything special.
He definitely fell off for a little bit.
His past like 6 albums, like.
He's like, yo,
pretty good.
This new now. Yeah, I think they dropped something recently. Him and DJ Premier. That was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he did that. I mean, like the what is it? The King's Disease albums he did, and then he did the Magic albums. They were all really good. I was really impressed.
yeah,
He did a lot of great work on those. But yeah, I mean, that's like I tell everybody. I've analyzed this for a while, and I really do think Kendrick Lamar is probably the greatest of all time, only because he doesn't have a bad album. And I think when you look at everybody, I mean, I don't know. When you look at like if Nas has got at least 5, 6 pretty not great albums. I mean, we'll see where the future goes. I'm just a huge Kendrick fan, and I honestly think he's.
What do you think about his like diss records, to Drake and everything?
Oh, the diss tracks he did. I mean, why do I believe him? Like, what do you mean?
They were good.
They were good.
They were good.
Of course. I think everything he does is good. I think when he does a track on somebody else's album, it's about. I mean, listen, I was a huge fan of the new Clips album. I thought that was an amazing album.
Great
and
album.
I think the song that Kendrick was on was the best song on the album.
Kendrick's on Born Sinner. A little bit. Yeah, he's on a hook.
Oh, yeah. Forbidden Fruit. Right?
Yeah. He doesn't spit a verse, but.
I was going to say, I listened to that song and it said he was on it and you heard him, but he doesn't do a verse, right?
Nah, they should have had him
It's weird.
They should have put him as a feature. But so J. Cole made a diss track to Kendrick and took it back. He rescinded it. You know, do you know about that?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Was this recently? Or?
Fairly.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah, during the beef. So during the beef.
Oh, the Drake beef.
Yes.
Okay.
J. Cole was unhappy with some shots that Kendrick, well, maybe not unhappy, but felt obligated to respond. And so you're not aware of this. It's interesting. Kendrick somehow mentions Cole in one of his diss tracks towards Drake, and it becomes a try because they're known as the top modern day top 3 artists: Drake, Kendrick, and Cole. Like,
oh yeah,
they are.
Okay.
That's the trio. And so Cole feels some type of way, I guess, and releases a mixtape called Might Delete Later, ironically, and drops a diss track on that mixtape. The whole record is about Kendrick, and it's just
the Might Delete Later is all about Kendrick.
Well, the specific song.
Oh, the one song
on the mixtape, and then he took the song off of all the streaming platforms and off of YouTube, and J. Cole fans weren't happy, and hip hop fans weren't happy, and nobody was really happy with J. Cole after that move. But he has his reasoning. You know, he says he's Kendrick. He likes Kendrick a lot. He feels like Kendrick is one of the greats, and he took it off. You know, I mean, that's his prerogative. I mean, but it's interesting you never heard the song. Yeah, it's a good song. It's really just bar heavy.
Yeah,
just punchline against Kendrick, and that's been like the biggest J. Cole news as of whatever the last few years before it's out, especially specifically before the Fall Off came out. Which a lot of people don't like the Fall Off. A lot of
really
not J. Cole stands.
I don't like that. It's like 40 tracks long.
There are a lot of people that don't like the Fall Off. But I think the Fall Off is some of his best work.
Oh yeah,
that's his. You know, it's him freely, you know, creating, in my opinion, and not having any expectations and just releasing what he wants to release.
Yeah,
and rap how he wants to rap, and
I think that's when you make your best work. Yeah, 100%.
So yeah. Have you ever been into battle rap?
Have ever been in a battle rap?
No, into it. Like, ever listen to
I mean,
battle
maybe when I was really young. I never really got into it. I mean, I remember there used to be some show that they used to do it or something that I used to watch.
Yeah, on MTV, late at night, Fight Club.
Is that the name of the show? Okay.
Used to be some guy that, like, in a pool table, lived like a pool table, and one guy wrestling another guy. It was on MTV though.
Yeah. I just remember them just like a group of people and two guys going back and forth. I don't know, but I was never like super into it. Like it's funny. Like I have friends who like super into all these new guys that pop up on YouTube who do like the
compliment battles. You ever seen those?
Yeah, I don't know if it's compliment battle, but it's like Harry Mack. Is that the guy you ever?
Harry Mack's good. You don't like Harry Mack? What do you think?
Good, but I mean, like, my argument is, if the guy was a good artist, where's his albums? Like,
his music sucks.
Well, that's my point. Like,
but he has a skill that not many people have.
Okay.
Now, that being said, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. You make a good point. And there's a ceiling on a guy like Harry Mack. This is the ceiling.
I mean,
there is a guy walking around Manhattan every day, streaming on YouTube, called Ari, A-R-I, and his tag is Ari at home.
Okay.
Danny, this guy is the most talented musician I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, where's his album?
He doesn't have an album. His whole premise is he walks around with a rig on his strap. So he has a PC on his back.
Okay.
And he has a keyboard in front of him.
Okay.
He has a mixer, and he's got his whole setup, and he got a mic right here, and he walks around Manhattan every day. He streamed today, and he walks around. And he's blowing up. He has 2.5 to 3 million followers on Instagram. Over let's say 12 months ago, he had less than 100,000. So it's pretty parabolic, right?
Yeah.
He walks around with his rig, different areas of Manhattan, and makes beat after beat after beat after beat after beat, and whoever wants to join in and hop, the mic is yours. And he has a guy, he has a video, camera guy that streams every day,
but he doesn't rap.
He gets on the mic as well.
Oh, okay.
And freestyles and little older tunes, sings, raps, whatever the beat calls for. His versatility on 1,000.
Is he making the beat on the fly, or
right
are they
on the fly?
Oh, okay. All
right on the fly, layer after layer, track after track after track. So if he starts, here's how it normally goes. An interaction goes like this. So he's walking around. If he hasn't started a beat already, and normally he will start the beat himself before somebody actually grabs the mic, and then if they're good, he'll wrap the beat up and say, "Hey, what are you into? What do you like? Any genre, give it to me. What do you like? You like freaking reggaeton? You want some jazz? You want some rock?" Yeah, and you see, obviously, he's walking around Manhattan. You see a plethora of different people.
Right.
There's plenty of different walks of life out there, and talent. Right? How many talented people out there that just couldn't make it.
Right.
And he'll ask the person, "What do you like? Tell me anything," and he'll go, and he doesn't miss, and he doesn't miss. And when I tell you he doesn't miss, I've been watching this guy for quite a while now, and he does 3-hour streams daily. He does not miss a beat. Every beat is 10 out of 10. And sometimes he finds people that are really, really, really good. Some people are decent. And sometimes somebody has a guitar in their back, and they're epic. Somebody has a harmonica, and we'll loop that in. And it's so special to me because it's so raw.
Oh yeah,
it's just so raw.
There's something about that live production, like just on the fly, that's so impressive. And I mean, it's so impressive to me too. But I'm like very big into like electronic music in general, and
sure,
there are some like producers who will go out there and just do complete live sets on the fly.
It's so raw,
just like, dude.
There's an energy there that's like, and he'll do that. He'll do Jersey House. He'll do anything you can think of. And his background is music theory. Like his dad was extremely talented, classic musician, and his mother. So his background, his whole life as a child was music theory. So he's walking music theory. So that's why he's not pigeonholed to one genre or one type of music.
But I'm surprised because if he has that good of if he's that talented at being able to produce, you think it wouldn't be that hard finding a job as producer.
I agree, but I do think this is what he wants, and he's doing what he wants.
Oh, really?
You see the enjoyment. I don't think he's doing it to get famous. He's not doing it to blow up, which is just a byproduct. He's now famous, and he's not blown up. But I think he's doing this. The vibe, the energy I get is he's doing this because he understands this is it. This is sick. He's walking around Manhattan and just being with the people. Like he's just one with the people. And it's just the interactions that he comes across. And mind you, he's been doing this for quite a while now.
If that, but he's got to actually put something out though. I mean, like if that's what he really wants to do.
He probably will. He's a baby. He's a baby. He's young.
Oh, he's young.
He's a baby.
Okay.
When I say baby, he's probably 22, 23. He looks young. He's a baby. He's young.
Okay.
I could see that going. Like, even on stream, I watch the stream religiously. I pretty much don't miss the stream. Now, I may not be able to watch it live, but I will run it back. I don't miss the stream because that's how epic it is to me. It's so freaking epic. Like, yeah, not everyone's a beast. Not everyone's great.
Right.
But he's so good at production that he will make the average person sound really good. He'll make the trash person sound good enough. That's like, and that's how that's the sign of a really good producer, you know? Oh, it's just, man, you gotta, I'm gonna send you some stuff. You just gotta go to his channel and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And it's just like, wow. Anybody I've ever showed to him, anybody I've ever showed, like, yo, check this guy out real quick. It's just, I can't say it's mind blowing. And the act of what he's doing is so special. Like there's no glitz and glamour. Like,
so he's good at both producing and the freestyle?
Absolutely.
Like he's kills it on both. Okay.
Yeah, he's tuned. He's tapped in.
Wow.
Whatever he's doing, he's tapped in. And I've never seen somebody not miss. I've seen people like miss. You know, people that are really good at freestyling or people really good at production. You're gonna miss. You're gonna make a decent beat. Right. That was okay. I've never seen him miss, and I've watched thousands of hours easily. Never seen this guy miss. It's crazy. He's blown up. I mean, he's completely viral, but it's interesting. It's raw. It's authentic viral. Like it's not. Nobody's pushing him. There's no label. There's no company. There's no ads. He's not partnering with anybody. It's him. It's him with a rig on his back.
It's impressive. I wonder what his end game is. Like, I wonder if he's got plans.
His end game is to hit other cities. Is to travel.
Well, I mean, he could do that now.
He could. He could
definitely getting paid off YouTube alone if he's got billions of.
Could definitely do that. He could definitely do that now. I just think what he's doing now is working so well that he's like, why go now? But he talks about like, wanting to do this and throughout the world, just go all over the world and do this. But I don't think he's going to be able to get the same results in other places in the world.
First of all, you're talking about different places with different languages.
Yeah.
And then off the bat, you're going to have.
But New York City just has like, it's New York City. You know?
Yeah. Well, there's no place where, I mean, other city where you have like a city center that's so compact where you can like, there's so many people walking around. It's just very easy to grab people and be able to do that. There's not a lot of other places you can really do that. I mean, you could probably do it in some places in Chicago, maybe.
Yeah.
But even LA is very spread out. There's not a very like,
I agree.
You know what I mean?
He just walks around Washington Square Park. He's walking up and down Broadway. He's walking. Right. I followed him one night. Just.
Like went to the city and
I said, "Why not?" Yeah, I was on my way to the city for something. I just ended up.
Well, if he's doing it live, then anyone could go find where. Yeah. Oh, wow.
So a lot of people do drop in, like, "Oh, this is my opportunity." You know, this is my opportunity. Let me get on this guy and whatever. Go ahead. He's never gonna say no. He'll give you the mic.
Is there like a line of people though?
No.
Really?
No. You would. I would think.
I mean, if he's got 2 million people viewing, I mean. If you're
not
anyone
viewers,
looking
but followers, he's big.
Oh.
Yeah, viewers. He does numbers. He does good numbers.
What's his live? Do you know what his live viewers are?
I don't know, but it's not small. It's a large number.
I wonder if it's in like the 100,000s or.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He has Twitch. He goes live on Twitch and simultaneously live on YouTube. Just regular, YouTube live.
Right.
And the chat's funny. The chat loves him. Right. The chat's heavily engaged. That's always a funny aspect. The streaming thing is like. It's pretty crazy. You know, the stream, where we're at with streaming, like Kid Cudi to bring this back to Kid Cudi, he's streaming his whole album production, this newest album he's making, and he's going on tour, live streaming the whole thing.
He's streaming the production of the album?
So you are in the studio with Kid Cudi as he's creating the album. You are in the studio. You're also going to be on tour with Kid Cudi live.
Something about like it's cool.
Yeah, what do you think?
No, but it's something about it screams like give me more attention type of thing because I don't know. Wouldn't you not want to be live once in a while? It's weird.
I think their perspective. I think the perspective is like, all right, here's I can get closer with my fans. Like my fan base loves my music. My fan base loves what I produce, what I create, the art I create. Let them get a peek. Let me get a peek of what I do, how I do.
A lot of people have released documentaries,
like behind the scenes and stuff like that. Right? But it's nothing like the raw feeling of being like this person is creating this beat or creating this song, and here I am essentially in the studio with them just through a screen.
Right? Yeah,
that live, I don't know, it's a different energy. It's something that's never been done. It's new, right? This is all new stuff.
I just try to get like behind the mentality of it. Like I don't know, it's weird.
You know.
It's a weird thing to think about, I guess. I don't know.
You definitely gotta check this guy though. Ari at Home. Ari at Home, his name is. You definitely gotta check him.
Ari at Home?
Yeah, ARI. Ari at Home, man.
I gotta check.
He's so. I think there's zero possibility you're not gonna be like, wow. Like that's how good I think he is. In my opinion, I think he's just that good.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, like freestyles and improvised. Like music I was always interested in anyway. There's a guy like Mark Ribier. Have you heard of Mark Ribier? He's like a crazy guy in a robe. And he does like live loops. Like anything with like loops and stuff like that. I'm pretty interested in like anybody that could just kind of on
years
on the
ago. I remember I used to show everybody this video. I forget who showed it to me, but there was this guy, I don't think he ever turned out to be anything, but there was this guy who he would show up to like I don't even know if it was the US. It might have been in Europe. I'm not sure where it was. It could have been Manhattan, but he would have a machine that he would show up with whatever the machine was and a mic, and hooked up to a speaker and basically create beats with his voice.
Like a beatbox.
Like on like, well, whatever, use his
Yeah.
voice in all different times to like create like this layered like song. And then I want to say he would do some type of singing over it. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
like reggae or something, but I remember just thinking how crazy that was. This guy just created a beat with his voice,
Yeah.
just like layered his voice
Yeah.
over a couple times.
love
It
shit
was
like
like
that.
him and a girl. It was like pretty freaking.
You've heard of
awesome.
Reggie Watts?
Yeah.
He was one of those guys too that was like big into like the looping thing and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Are you big into like producers and production? Or are you-
Well, I don't want to say I'm big into producers or production per se, but I started to manage a singer. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I got into like behind the scenes stuff, right?
Mhm.
I just really wanted to get into the business side of music and just see that side of things and how it worked. So that was, she was an amateur and I was an amateur. So let's see, how this goes and how this works. So I was able to be in the room with producers and like, it was interesting to see how they work. I always wanted to know that. Like, I was curious listening to hip hop during those years and being like, I'm interested in people making these beats for sure and how they work. How are you doing this? Like,
Yeah.
where are you getting inspired from? Are you actually playing these chords? Are you pulling these chords? Are these all samples? Things like that. I would always ask myself, like, how did this beat get made?
I always ask that too, because people would argue that like every hip hop producer uses samples.
Yeah.
I'm like, none of it is produced off like, because
Yeah.
you could have programs, you could make
Sure,
music
yeah.
without. You don't need to use samples.
So it's definitely not all samples.
No,
obviously.
it can't be. I
And,
mean, there has to be producers out there that are making
so-
records without using samples.
So during that journey of managing the artist, I was able to be in the studio a lot, many hours. Phoenix Studios and Off the Kill Road.
Off the Kill,
a number of other studios throughout the city. Just booking studio time with different producers. So the way that works, like if you book a session with Phoenix Studios, you have the option of booking the studio time with or without an engineer. So it's two different prices, right? So the engineer is not a producer though. So the engineer is just there to help you mix sounds together and make it sound better. So normally you would come with a producer. So then I had to find producers. Now, I'm meeting different producers and finding out who I think is dope. And then watching them work behind the scenes is pretty interesting while in the studio. And a lot of it is samples. A lot of it is a producer calling up their friend who plays a bass and say, hey, I need a bass line and I want it to sound like this. So the producer kind of verbalizes, hey, I need a drum or I need a bass line or I need a guitar riff on this. What do you think? What do you got? And they bounce ideas back and forth. Oh, we'll try this or try that. So the producer's more just like the orchestrator, I guess, of these musicians that come through.
Well, I think it depends on who the musician is and what the role they're playing is. I only ask because there's a huge thing in hip hop right now with the drumless beats. You ever hear that?
Nah.
Never heard that?
Nah.
Oh man. So if you ever listen to like Alchemist is one of my favorite producers
Sure.
right now. Alchemist does a lot of drumless stuff, but it's like a very popular thing where there's no drum beat.
Yeah.
They'll just loop other sounds without an actual drum beat, and hip hop guys will artists will go over that. And remember
I'm
when
trying to think hip hop, drumless hip hop.
It's wild. It's a wild concept. And when you first, because I remember when I first started hearing the tracks, it was it's weird. I'm like, it's kind of cool, but I'm like, and it was funny because I asked one of my friends who's big hip hop and who's big into hip hop, and he's like, I'm like, you hear these drumless beats they got going? I'm like, how is you like this stuff? He's like, yeah, they're not bad. He goes, but it's kind of just feels like you're always waiting for the beat to drop.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is kind of how it feels at
Yeah.
first. Like you're waiting for like it to come in and it just never comes in. Then you get like used to it. But yeah, I mean, I always praise Alchemist is one of like my favorite hip hop
He probably
producers
samples.
right now.
He samples a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, but even that whole, I'm not against sampling.
No, of course.
I always thought this guy's like, you ever listen to like Run the Jewels?
Yeah.
So LP, I feel like he doesn't really sample as much as like other producers do. If you look at his line, like his hip hop beats almost sound more electronic than they do like they were sampled from other stuff. But when you actually watch like producers, because I've watched like a lot of documentaries on producers and like what they have to do and them just going into like record stores and
Yeah.
taking random stuff and then just like, oh, I like this little piece right here, and just taking that little piece and then saying, oh man, it's such a wild thing.
You ever seen Rhythm Roulette on YouTube? Rhythm Roulette, where they they have to go into it. You got like DJ Premier has been on a Ninth Wonder, like all these high level producers have been on the show. It's a great show, and they send them to a record store and they go, all right, like you have to pick 3 random records out of this and then make a beat, and it's that. So they chop up about 3 different records, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's the sample. DJ Premier was doing that. Pete Rock. These guys were sampling heavy. But yeah, I've experienced the flip side. I've experienced where it's just straight raw instruments, and that P. Diddy's a producer. He doesn't play a single instrument. Like, so like you could be considered a producer and not have any kind of music theory.
I don't know.
You could just be the guy in the back being like, we're gonna do this, and this. Now you're the executive.
Well, that's what guys would ask me. Like, I remember for a long time, I didn't understand what it meant to be like a rock producer.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what is that? I don't understand. Like, guys or like Rick Rubin. Like, what does Rick Rubin?
Yeah, what does Rick Rubin do?
Right.
Yeah.
But no, if he was on Rogan, did you listen to him? Okay, so he kind of explained, and it kind of like made sense, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's also like weird because I also feel like it's such a weird role because it's like, how much work are you really doing?
Yeah.
Like you're almost like the orchestrator, right? But like you're not actually doing much. Yeah. Well, I guess you are, like, as far as like in the studio with the soundboards.
They're relying on perspective. They trust your perspective and your ear so much. And if you're gonna produce this song, we trust you. Rick Rubin, we trust your ear. Like you are tapped in.
Isn't that wild though? Because you're the one creating the music, so like it's such a wild thing for you to go like, "Hey, how does this sound? Should we change anything?" It's like, what do you mean? Like this is supposed to be your project. Like I don't know. It's so weird.
I agree.
To pay somebody to like approve or disapprove of what you do is just like a really wild thing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Kanye's a sick producer. I mean, but he's on that same Rick Rubin wave too. I think like.
Well, I mean, he makes beats though. That's
he does, but I still think he plays a role like Rick Rubin.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure there are a lot of guys that kind of play both roles with that.
Yeah.
Rick Rubin is just weird because he does all genres.
Yeah.
Like he'll do a metal album, a rock album, a hip hop album, and it's like your perspective on overall music is that great. And I guess it just has to do with track record at that point, right? Like, one of the big stories with Rick Rubin is with the Beastie Boys. They couldn't get anybody to produce the record, and he heard it and was like, "Oh, I'll produce it," and it became one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time. And it's like, after that, I'm like, "Hey, you want to come do mine too?" It's funny, I guess, that aspect of being like you have so much control over the sound of somebody's record is just wild to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always, one of the big things is like the records when people write music like that, it's supposed to be just such an expression, right?
Sure.
And now you like kind of bring somebody else in to kind of like mess with it. It kind of, I feel like in my head, like, doesn't that distort like your expression in some way?
Yeah.
Like
I definitely, being behind the scenes in those studios and like watching an artist interact with the producer and watching an artist interact with an engineer and watching an artist interact with another artist and like I'm just a fly, right? I have no input. I wasn't a producer. I'm literally just here to help freaking figure this out, book a studio session. That was kind of my role. We're going to book a studio. So like being a fly on the wall in those situations was interesting, and seeing that interaction between the artist and producer and the artist and another artist, like I said, because you said it's an expression of that person and they have their own ideas and their own viewpoint of what the hell they're trying to create and make, and it very often clashes with the other person that can't necessarily connect. And I think when you do finally have that perfect match, like it's like that's where like good music gets created, where it's like I see what you see what I see, and then together you can produce some magic, and I think that's what they chase.
Yeah. Well, I think it should be a thing where if the producer shouldn't have too much control as far like it should be a thing where like the producer gives advice and you can either take it or leave it type of thing, because once you get into a thing where like the producer, like somebody like Rick Rubin or very, very high paid producer comes in and says, okay, we're not doing this anymore. We're cutting this one and doing this one. And it's like, well, now it's, you're changing everything. So it's kind of weird. Like it should be a thing where hey, I think it would sound a little bit better if we did it this way. Maybe, what do you think? And then if the artist is like, oh my God, you know what? You're right. This is what I'm envisioning. Then I can say, okay, that producer did his job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, then he was completely worth it. That's how it's supposed to go. But yeah, I don't know. I've never even seen, I have no idea how the interaction goes. I can only just imagine, though, the more you're paying the guy, the more control he has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
And people aren't cheap. Studio time's not cheap, and that whole business of trying to become a successful musician is quite the road to travel down. It's not easy. Nothing's cheap. Somebody's got to get paid. You got to pay for your studio time. You got to pay this, pay the engineer, pay that, just to release the music in hopes of people listening. It's not easy,
right?
And it's so easy to release music now too. So now your competition is vast. It's vast.
I mean, I talked about this on the last one. I'm fully against being rich and famous based on any type of art, really, because I don't think art was meant for that. Once you start talking about money with art, it's like, well, what are we talking about? This was supposed to be an expression for you, right? An artistic expression. Now you're talking about becoming a millionaire or not, right? Like, I know there's no middle ground, but I was like, imagine every artist, like, it was just their side job. Like, It was just something they did in their free time for fun. And there was no outside influence. There was no idea of money attached to it, really. I mean, yeah, okay, play live and make some money, whatever. But if you didn't rely on it and it was just something that you did to express yourself for fun, like what I'm doing right now, I'm not making any money on this. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But if somebody comes in and says, well, we'll give you this much, but you also got to do this, and it's like, it kind of erodes the whole thing. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't need this to survive. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's kind of like, once you start saying, well, everybody's trying to make it and be rich and famous, it's like, well, your objective is kind of skewed, right? I don't think that's the point of art, is to become rich and famous. Like, right. Once you throw that into the mix, now it's kind of.
But should you want like as many ears to hear your art as possible?
Well, I think in today's day with the internet, that's not a problem. I mean, I think that actually what happens is people who aren't signed to major record labels, or started their own record label and decided, like, hey, I'm going to do this my way, they've gotten more fame than they do money. I think that they're not really making that much. They're touring. Sure, they'll do a U.S. tour, and I'm sure they'll sell out a lot of their shows and stuff like that. Yeah. And I think they're super talented, and I think they did everything their way, and it's 100% the way they want it. But I don't think they're making millions of dollars. Right. I think they're comfortable, but I don't think they're making millions. I think their fame exceeds their money at this point, because they're at a point where, they're not a household name, and they're not on the radio. But if you're into hip hop, you know those names and you know that guy's work. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that they'll go down in history for the albums that they've created, whether people listen to them now or listen to them 20 years from now. I mean, that's the thing with the internet, it's there forever. So, whether you figure it out now or, I always discover artists that came out 10 years ago and, start being like, man, this guy's been out forever, and I never heard of him. I mean, that happens. And of course I always use there's a talking to you like you don't listen to rock, but there's a band called the Velvet Underground. You ever hear of the band called the Velvet? No, of course not. But no, so this band, basically, they were coming out with records in like the late 60s, and they were not popular at all. Like, so like, you talk to somebody who only listens to classic rock and they still have never heard of this band. But right now, like, they basically had gotten popular later on. So there's more people who know about them, like, born after the year 1990 than there are born before the year 1990, just because they got rediscovered later on. So everybody says they were before their time. So what happened was, like, they had, one of the sayings attached to them is the Velvet Underground sold 10,000 records, but influenced 10 million artists. Huh. Because what happened was, they couldn't get anyone to listen to their music then, and now their records are claimed some of the greatest rock records of all time. I always compare it to Pink Floyd, which is weird, because I always thought Pink Floyd was very progressive and very beyond their time, and it's very odd that Pink Floyd was able to get as successful and famous as they were at that time, just because it seemed like, if you think about it back then, they were so different. Like you would have thought it was harder for people to enjoy their music because they sounded so before their time. But yeah, the Velvet Underground is one of those, they, if you would have saw them live then, you would have been one of very few people. They just weren't that big. But yeah, I mean, it's probably happening right now with a lot of artists who aren't on the radio and aren't big because they're doing their own thing and they're making music that sounds very differently. And I think 20 years from now, people are gonna kind of, they're gonna explode and be like, well, this all came from this guy that nobody listened to then, but now they get all the credit for it,
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever heard any of the AI music that's capable of being made?
I have.
You ever heard like 50 Cent?
Yeah.
Like Many Men in Jazz.
Like Many Men,
the jazz version, which is pretty good. I might say
I was listening to they do that with all different genres. I was listening to like
doo-wop
metal bands and like jazz and doo-wop and all that type of stuff. It's pretty funny. It's not bad. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I almost think like, I'm surprised nobody thought of trying to do stuff like that before, it's just like somebody plugs it into AI and lets AI do it. But it gets pretty scary for like what's going to come out in the future. Like I remember there was a bunch of stuff already where people didn't know if it was AI or if it was real. I know, what was that song? There was like a Drake and Future song or something that came out and people were saying it was AI. And then there was that Kanye West freestyle track that was released.
The dumb one, right?
Who was I forget the guy who was on it with him. It was the guy who wasn't as popular or whatever, but and people were saying that they couldn't figure out if it was a real Kanye song or if it was AI. And now you get into this territory. It's like, well, we can't even tell for real. Like,
yeah, that's what is scary. If you have no idea, then what?
Yeah. I mean, well, it comes to a point where, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think it could ever be better than what somebody can create, right? I mean, can it actually create something with that much emotion?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I mean, I think it could create music that sounds good, but it's not going to be deep, right?
Yeah.
It can't do that. I don't know.
It can't mimic the human. Yeah.
You would think, as of right now, I don't know. I mean, we're still like the super early stages of AI, so it gets kind of scary because then you're like, can you trust anybody's album? How do you know if it's just like AI half their album and you don't know?
Like, here's my body of work. Create me the best album ever. Create me the best possible album I can make based off all the history of work I've done. Here's everything I've ever done. Now make me the best.
I mean, we're so close to that. It's pretty.
That's fucking nuts.
Did you see what they're doing with movies and stuff? People creating these AI trailers, and I'm like, oh man,
they look good.
I know. It looks. I mean, they don't look perfect, but it's almost there. I mean, they've only just started doing this. How much more time do you think they need?
And they move exponentially fast.
Super fast. At the speed we're at right now, we're gonna have complete AI movies within a couple of years at least. I mean, the music thing is weird. I mean, obviously Rogan talks about it with the stand up too. Like, can it write jokes for you?
Yeah, probably. Some good ones too. Probably.
I don't know what happens in the world of art when you could just have AI create all this
stand-up's
stuff.
Another thing. You into stand-up?
I love stand-up. I've been into stand-up since I was like 9 years old.
Love stand-up. So see, stand-up, so the same way I frequent Blue Note Jazz Club. I'm in Blue Note Jazz Club monthly. I'm also at the stand monthly. Like, it's another thing. I make it a thing to do. Like, just that experience, I can't replicate anything else. Like, going to a comedy show. Like, I've gone to the stand so much that like I had to stop going because I've now seen every lineup they could possibly produce, and I'm seeing the same material. I mean, well, a lot of those guys are just New York City regulars, so they're at the stand repeatedly, like over, like they're doing the Friday night 8:30 at the stand. How much material do they have? I find myself going to the stand so much. I'm like, all right, I kind of have to stop and go to the Comedy Cellar and see whatever different guys.
Oh yeah, I mean,
that's my
I
point.
would switch it up if I was.
Yeah, but I just actually love that the vibe of the place is nice.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think stand up comedy and live music, like they produce the same thing for me. Like, they produce this sense of like rawness. Like, yeah, we're here in the moment. experiencing something.
So I've been to the stand, I think 3 times. And it's funny because the first time I went, I seen, I think I went where I think it was just like me and Kristen went for an anniversary or something.
Yeah.
And we were like, all right, let's go to the stand or whatever. I don't know if it was like we couldn't go to the cellar or what the deal was, but we had just gotten like I wasn't looking at anybody playing. You know,
Right.
we wound up going.
You don't have to. Yeah, you know it's going to
And,
be decent enough. Yeah.
This was actually right before COVID. This was in January of 2020. So we wind up going to the one of the basement room where
Sure.
we've seen like what I think they have 5 different comedians go on or something.
Yeah,
like
give or
that. They
take.
each do like 15, 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And we had such a great time. We went back again. I took my dad. My dad's birthday was the next
Nice.
month, so I took my dad for his birthday, and one of my friends actually wound up coming too. So it was like the 4 of us. So the funny part is, the first time we go, I'm trying to think which one it was. So if you go there all the time, you ever see Tim Dillon?
Tim Dillon, I've never seen there.
Okay, so Tim Dillon was.
But I'm familiar with Tim Dillon.
Tim Dillon was the headline. I didn't know who Tim Dillon was at the time. I mean, this was January 2020, 6 years ago. I had no idea what Tim Dillon.
Yeah.
In the middle of the lineup was Shane Gillis.
Nice.
This is pre anybody ever here. I never knew heard his name before.
He's probably a regular at this time.
He never had a special out. Like this was So it was funny. I see, and he killed it. I mean, like even like I would have hated to be one of those other guys who had to come up before him or after him because he had the whole place on the floor laughing. Like, and I remember like turning to my wife and I'm like, this guy is going to be. I'm like, this guy's unbelievable. I'm like, I've never seen anybody this funny live. I mean, it's crazy how funny he was. Like, just killed it. And when we went back in February, he's there again in the middle of the fuck. And I remember like. And I remember he was going to get on. I'm like, I turned to my dad. I'm like, this guy's amazing.
You're
like,
ready for something special.
Like, I don't know who this guy is, but this guy's gonna kill it. And he killed it again. And then I think it was like 2 months later, he did his Live at Austin. Came out on, I don't know if it was on Netflix or something, but he came out to Live at Austin, and because that was like right after COVID hit. I think it was in like April of 2020. The Live at Austin came out, and then after that, he went on Rogan and blew up and came out with his Beautiful Dogs and the whole line. But I always tell everyone
that's great. You got the same at the stand
twice, and I was like, anyone could have won. He probably was doing it every night that week, but this was before nobody knew who he was.
That's great.
It was huge, crazy. So I was like, I seen Shane Gillis and Tim Dillon in the same hour and a half thing. It was
so great. Growing up, I was really good friends with Pete Davidson.
So you were one of the guys there?
So, same basketball team, Townville High School, and we were really good friends. So, and that was interesting too because he invited the whole team to his first comedy show ever. Right? He did an open mic at the Looney Bin. He's like, guys, he invited the whole team.
Do they still do that, the Looney Bin?
No, gone. Yeah.
Oh, they don't do it?
Showplace barely exists. I mean,
no, but I heard they travel with it now. Like they do like diners and stuff.
Oh, the Looney Bin?
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe.
Yeah.
But the venue doesn't.
Oh, no. I know the venue.
Yeah. So I go to the Looney Bin. Nobody goes. Nobody really had the best relationship with the kid at the time. Me and one other kid on the team decided to go. We had nothing to do. Whatever. Let's go watch Pete freaking try stand up. And that led one thing to another. And I would be there for his journey for a brief period. After that first night of open mic, he showed a work ethic that I've never seen before to this day. He did open mics throughout the city 7 days a week as a 16-year-old kid, which is crazy. His mom was all in, and he was all in, and that was it. He was committed to doing open mics, to being an open micer in New York City. And I remember maybe 3 months after that Looney Bin night, I went to a show in Manhattan, and I was like, wow, the improvement was like, I was like, he's 3 months, like he's legit, he's a comedian. The first obviously the first set, he was reading off a piece of paper. It was atrocious, but I was in a crowd dying because it's Pete, like it's my boy Pete, like it's funny. And then and then 3 months after that, he's on the same lineup. It's like Jim Gaffigan. I'm like, wait, this guy's on lineup with like legit comedians now. And then everything happened rapidly fast. The Wild and Out thing, and he Nick Cannon found him in a showcase, an open mic showcase. And
he was on Wild and Out? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, he was on the show.
So let's call it less than a year after Looney Bin. left it less than a year after his first little open mic.
And what year was that?
We're talking 2011.
2011. Okay.
Less than a year, he
Okay.
does an open mic showcase that Nick Cannon is hosting in Manhattan, and he's gonna pick one comedian to then go and wild out from this showcase. So obviously, a bunch of people sign up, and he wins. So do the showcase, he gets to go on to Wild 'N Out. He makes a name for himself Wild 'N Out, then goes on a show called Guy Code, makes a name for himself through that. Guy Code's on MTV shows, silly,
Yeah, I
silly
know.
MTV show.
Okay.
All while still grinding like a madman, daily, small town, not the Stand, not Comedy Cell. I'm talking small town, Gotham Comedy Club, which has a decent name, like these small comedy clubs. And I would go, like I'd ride with his mom and him in a vehicle, freaking to Manhattan. And then he had his big break. Like SNL kind of just kind of came out of nowhere. Like I guess it always just comes out of nowhere. It's like wow,
Well, I'm sure there's some type of auditions for it. I think, but
yeah, but they'll reach out to you. Like it's not like open auditions.
Oh
like,
no, I know it's not open.
Yeah,
I don't know how you get an audition, but
they'll reach out.
Yeah.
If you're on their radar. But it was. I was into comedy before that, but it was interesting watching somebody's like growth, parabolic growth, really in comedy do that. And then I would go out in Cali and visit him and experience like LA like for the first time and be like, whoa, this place is.
This is after he's on SNL.
Pre SNL, he was
okay.
out. He was living out in LA.
Oh, really? Okay.
Grinding their comedy scene and trying to get roles and just grinding it. And I would go visit him in his apartment, which at that time he was already on Guy Code and Wild 'N Out, so. He was he was a low list guy. He wasn't a regular Wild 'N Out. He'd be, couple episodes per season, very low list. And when you're out in LA, if you're like a Z, like those lists exist, Z list, X list, Y, like there's legit lists. So like when you're on that list, your circle is that list. So his roommates were like people just like him, trying to make it in their perspective fields. Like one guy was a rapper, one guy was also a comedian. And it was just interesting being out there. It was so different than New York City. That was my first experience of California, but specifically Los Angeles, because California is much more vast and wide than Los Angeles.
Right.
But being in Los Angeles was very interesting, and seeing that life because it's so much different than New York City. New York City is very raw and authentic, whereas Los Angeles gave me this whole different vibe of just everybody trying to be model, actress, comedian, whatever.
It's like the whole city.
It's not very raw. Yeah, it wasn't very raw and authentic. It threw me off. But I was fortunate enough to see that. I'm glad I got to see that because LA is very different now. In 2026, it's lost that whatever they did have. I don't want to say they had a soul, but whatever they did have is gone.
Yeah.
Is everyone's gone. The actors are gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you've been there recently?
Yeah, I go every year. I hate LA, but I go to Cali every year, and I got friends in LA and whatnot. I love California. I love Orange counties. It's a little south of LA. San Diego, in between San Diego and Los Angeles, is the orange area.
Mm-hmm.
It's just freaking, to me, it's the best. If I had to just pinpoint a place in the country to move to, if I had complete freedom and just live there, I'd definitely go there. But now, LA, everyone's left. The studios have left. Everybody's left. You got Netflix studios in Middle America and Jersey, and it's just too expensive, and it's become much more cost effective to be in other areas. And that's kind of dead. The LA acting scene has died out. The comedy scene has died out. Everyone's moved to the big old state. Texas, everyone's gone to Austin. Everyone's migrated.
Like Austin and Nashville. Places that everybody.
Everyone's migrated. Everyone got out of there. I haven't visited Austin yet. I'd love to, go see Kill Tony and go to, Joe Rogan's.
I want to go to the mothership really. I always try to say I'm going to plan a trip to Texas, and I never do.
Yeah, I want to do it. I'll go to the mothership. It'd be nice.
I was in Austin, but I was in Austin in 2017, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was 2017. I was there for my cousin's bachelor party. That was like kind of, obviously.
And you didn't get the chance? You didn't get the chance to go to pop out to the mothership? Oh, 2017.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't there yet.
That whole scene wasn't there, I guess, right?
It was when I was there. It started. They were like there was a lot of construction going on as far as they were building a lot of skyscrapers. There was a lot of tech companies already moving.
Right.
Because I know like Google had a headquarters there, Amazon had a headquarters there. Yeah. Like it was becoming like a city to where companies were already starting to go there. I remember one of the big things was they had like the internet in the house that we stayed in. the internet was by Google, and we were like. We're like Google has the internet. Like
Yeah.
we didn't know. I don't like we don't. It's not Verizon or something. Like we never
Yeah.
saw it before.
That's some
Like it was
tech.
crazy.
Yeah, that's definitely some tech.
And my friend had
Tech
like
City
the
stuff.
my cousin had the the test your internet speed, and it was like, dude, this is 5 times faster than anything we have back at home. It's like wild crap. But yeah, I tell you the one thing I didn't like, and I mean this is like a lot of places that you go to, I guess, like the same problem you would have in Nashville when I went to Nashville is like you go to a lot of these cities that like you're hyped to go to.
Yeah.
It's the whole city is like a bachelor party.
Yeah.
Like every single place you go into is bachelor party. The whole place, every single restaurant, every single bar.
Yeah.
And it's like, it becomes like annoying because it's like, where's the actual culture of the city? This is all like, forget about tourism. I mean, this is all just like one big party that people are coming here for.
That's how Nashville felt. Huh?
Yeah. Well, no, Nashville was the same thing. I mean, Nashville was probably almost worse because Nashville was like that way before Austin was like that.
Yeah.
Like, you go to walk to a breakfast spot in Nashville, and there's carts of drunk people just going by screaming and stuff, and it's like this never like ends. Like there's no, the only like, see, there probably is places in Austin where you can get away from it. Like the one place in Nashville, I always tell people if you want to get away from that main scene is get off Broadway. And there's a place a block away called Printer's Alley.
Yeah.
It's this little alley. It's got like a jazz and blues club, and then it's got Skull's Rainbow Room, which Skull's Rainbow Room is like one of the craziest places to go to because the history behind the place has been there forever. It's one of the nicest bars you could possibly go to, but it's also used to be home to a lot of artists. Like they would, like I went in there, people would tell me like Jimi Hendrix started out there before he was big and stuff like that. So it's like a legendary place, and then it closed for a long time because I think it was it was either the late 80s or early 90s. Somebody broke in while it wasn't open yet. I mean, it was between opening hours or whatever, and the owner was in there, and they murdered the owner in the place, and it closed out for like 20 years, and then they finally sorted whatever out and got it reopened. And the place is just such a cool place to go to, and there's like almost no tourists. I mean, there's tourists in there, but it's not like the Broadway. You go to Broadway, it's like it's ridiculous. The one thing about Nashville is you never been to Nashville.
Nah, I haven't been. It's definitely on my.
The one thing they tell you,
music perspective, I gotta go.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, that's that's a big thing with like Nashville, New Orleans, or if I ever decide to go to Memphis. I would love to go to Memphis, except for with a family. It's the highest crime rate in America. But Memphis is like home to the Beale Street, all the blues and stuff like that. All that originated there, so it'd be really cool to go there, I guess, eventually, and then obviously, the whole Elvis Presley thing, you go to Graceland and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, the thing about Nashville is it's like super, like just a party scene where, that you walk down Broadway, it's like all you smell is like vomit, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty nuts.
It's the same thing with kind of like New Orleans, I guess. New Orleans has got a really cool jazz vibe, which I love. When I was there, I went to a bunch of little jazz clubs. They have like another area a little too, like it's more of like a little college area, a couple blocks away.
Yeah, I see the guy I was telling you about, Ari at home. He actually went to New Orleans. He streamed in New Orleans. It was walking around. That was like, it's cool watching that. I was like, all right, I get to see what the streets of New Orleans look like in this present moment as he's walking around, without traveling to New Orleans. But yeah, there's plenty of places like that, especially just to see the live music scene between New Orleans, Nashville. Yeah, like when I go to Cali, that's not what I'm going for, live music, So there's definitely some destinations I like to hit to see, their scene.
Yeah.
But we were blessed to have Blue Note Jazz Club. We're blessed to have.
Yeah. I mean,
be in New York City, like.
Listen, you can go see live music any night of the week. You'll find an artist in New York. I mean,
we're pretty fortunate.
There's so many places. I mean, the one thing that I say I hate is the whole Ticketmaster buying up all the venues.
Sickening.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty sickening.
They're monopolizing.
What's the last live show you've been to?
Damn, what is the last live show? I'm guessing it was when I went to go see. I saw the System of a Down and Korn at MetLife back in August. I think that was the last show I was at. Because I mean, a lot of the shows I go to are probably metal shows. Just because I just have a lot of friends who like to go to shows to.
Do you go to those shows at like PNC?
I've been to shows at
Yeah.
PNC, but I mean
I
not
feel like there's a lot of rock
regularly.
bands that like do PNC, Asbury Park, those
So
kind of things.
so there's like Asbury Park. I don't know if I've ever been down to Asbury.
I seen Lupe a few months ago at this past summer.
Stone Pony or somewhere else?
Yeah.
Stone Pony.
Yeah, outside. It was Lupe, Dead President. Dead Presidents. No, Dead Prez.
Dead President.
Dead Prez, Lupe, Atmosphere was on the line. It was on the lineup. It was a good show. Yeah. It was a pretty good show right there. It was nice. It was a nice August. I want to say August, September, like that.
That's pretty dope.
This past August, September.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go all the time. Now it's like impossible because
it's tough with the kids. And stuff.
Yeah, with the kids. I mean, like, so sometimes my friends will hit me up and say they're getting tickets to something, and I'll go. And it'll just be me, and then, but then she gets pissed. She doesn't get to go to the shows, so it's like. It's weird. It's hard. Before we had kids, I used to go out like all the time, especially when I was younger. I never went to a live show at all until I think I was 17. There used to be this thing called at MetLife. They used to think I think it was before MetLife. It was Bamboozle. If you ever heard of Bamboozle, it was like this huge rock festival. They used to do.
Yeah.
And I remember I went there is my first live anything I've ever been to.
Multiple stages.
Crazy 12 stages. Yeah, like huge. I was doing that for a couple of years, and then I started, going. I've been down to Philly for shows. I've gone shows when I've gone away. I've been on shows like South Carolina and stuff like that. I used to just go all the time, just whenever there was like a band in town.
I'm surprised you never got into playing music.
It's funny, man. I mean, you know what it is? It's just a very time consuming thing.
Definitely.
And like now, like I'll chalk it up. Like I there's no way I have the time now. I mean, maybe I do. Maybe I just don't have the drive. I don't know. It's a lot of different things. I always feel like in order for you to be a great musician, you have to start playing like super early. It's almost like me saying like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go into the NFL now. It's like,
let me go work on my jump shot.
There's no shot. Like it's a young man's game.
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe if I started now, by the time I'm in my 60s, I can really make something. But I mean, how much of my life am I going to dedicate to it? I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a drive to start now. Believe me, I wish that I can go back and start playing when I was younger. But
are you going to put your kids in like lessons and stuff, or?
I'm trying to do the thing where like I introduce my kids to like everything, and whatever they seem to like or be good at, I'm going to let them kind of decide. I don't want to push them in any specific direction, whether it's sports or doing music or doing any type of art. Like I'm going to, there are just different things that whatever they get into, but I just kind of want to give them like a taste of everything, like give them the chance to experience everything, and then they can kind of figure out what they want. I always hear like everybody pushes their kids into sports and, wants their kids to be great at sports. And it's like, listen, if he likes it, it's great. But, people bank on like their kid being in like the NBA or the NFL. It's like, dude, you're I don't want to say like you're wasting time. Like it's good to be into sports, but be into sports on a level where it's not like taking over your whole life. Like that's the whole thing. Like I don't want anything to be the central focus of their life where they can't really experience other things because now they've put all their time and energy into one thing that they're going to ride that and see how far they can get with that one thing. So
I
mean, if they want to do it, then that's fine.
I think it's more like physically, like they need to be moving and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean as far as
like riding, like you said, like betting your whole, like dedicating all of your energy towards a very specific, sport or whatever in hopes of potentially becoming a professional athlete or whatever. I think you're kind of silly, but I think providing that a sport is important just for physical, obviously physical activity, the social aspect to it all, and then music for expression, like we talked about, having them be able to express themselves via, it's very common for us to be like, all right, here's a crayon, and, draw on a piece of paper, do you think? Here's a coloring book. But not many people be like, so, I guess some families could put their kid. I guess it's kind of common to put their kid in piano lessons.
With music,
like that's a pretty popular
I see people
thing.
push with music,
but it's just nice to have that expression. Like I didn't experience that as a kid. I wish I did. I wish my parents were like, "Yo, here's some freaking piano lessons or guitar lessons or whatever." Or here is a guitar. Look, Merry Christmas.
I had the opposite. My parents actually bought me 2 guitars.
Oh, nice.
But I you know what? It's funny. if anyone else would have gave it to me, I might have started playing. But because I was like, when you're a teenager, you're almost like rebellious against your parents.
How old
like,
you were though?
Screw you.
You were like a teenager when you got it, you think? Like 11, 12?
Close 13? To, I mean, junior high, maybe like right before. But either way, I mean, like I didn't have like a great relationship with my parents where I looked up to them like that, at that point in my life. So, I mean, it's weird. I don't know. Maybe if they would have done it when I was a little bit younger or if somebody else would have got me into it, it's weird. I don't know. It's hard. I just remember like in my head, like my parents were like, "Oh, play this guitar," and I remember just being like, "Screw you! Just because you told me to play that guitar, I'm not touching that thing now." Like,
doing the opposite of everything you say.
Right. So I mean, I don't know. Like, I kind of wish that I would have got into playing music a little bit, but again, I also feel like it's something that kind of like takes over. So, you look at all these people who like really wanted to get into music, like, and then they wind up like kind of like doing nothing with their lives because they just rode that, oh yeah, I'm going to be a great musician. Like, it's a hard thing to like turn around from, you know? That's why I said, like, it should always be something like if you want to do it in your free time and express your free time. If it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. And if it doesn't, you have a real career that you can,
Sure.
I don't know. I just, I'm against anything in general where it's going to take up like all the time in your life and you don't get to experience like all the other great things in life. That's why I try to travel with my kids, show them.
That's good. That's big.
Different places and different things. And, I'll tell you, like, my son, both my sons right now, they love music. Like they want to put on music all the time. And as far as like, if they wind up playing music, that's great. But I also like want to make it a thing to try out every sport. I want them to try to play baseball, try to play hockey, try to do all different things just so they have like a little bit of the experience where they get to say, all right, I'm not into this or I'm into this. And then, I think it's better to be a little bit well-rounded in everything than just to focus on one thing. And then you just have this one thing that you do really good, but I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Exposing them to as much stuff as possible and just being there and during the process and journey and figuring out like, all right, this is what you genuinely love to do. Cool. Yeah. We'll lead.
And everybody knows that stuff could change. They're really into something one year, they're into something the next year. I don't know. You kind of like got to let them do what they want to do. I'm not gonna force them into anything or tell them they got to stick with something. It's another people. You can't let them quit. It's like, what if they don't like it? Like,
quit. Yeah.
Like,
Just stop.
No, force him to do something he doesn't like anymore. Like, that's not right. Like, listen, I played baseball when I was a kid for years. I want to say for like 7 or 8 years.
Literally.
And then I just didn't like it anymore. And like, I remember my parents were kind of like, yo, you sure you want to? It's like, I'm not enjoying it. Like, I just don't want to, like, I enjoyed it for a while, but like, I just stopped enjoying it. I didn't want to do it going into junior high and high school or whatever. I think I played it until I was in 7th or 8th grade. And, I didn't want to do it anymore. And, I don't regret it. Like, oh, I wish I would have kept playing. No. I wasn't enjoying it. You know? So I don't know. The whole, like, don't let them quit thing is, I just let them, like, listen, if one of my kids decides to pick up a guitar and loves playing the guitar, that's great. But I'm never going to say like, all right, you got to play the guitar 3 hours a day, every day to get this good. Like, put him on, he's going to play it. He's going to enjoy it.
Sure.
We'll do other things too. And, they're going to gravitate towards whatever they like anyway.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Like you said, I think exposing them to a little bit of everything is just the way, right? Because then you don't know if you like something unless you try it.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%.
So exposing them to different things is key. And then, like you said, traveling to having them see different places, not just be so limited to what the hell they see.
Yeah, I mean I don't know how much that really plays a part. I never traveled really much as a kid, but that's why like I enjoy it now. But I don't know. I think it's good for them to like go to different places and say that they've seen different places and kind of see the way things are in different places.
Right.
I think it's got to have some type of positive impact. I'd imagine it can't have any type of negative impact.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's probably more for me anyway. I just like to road trip and travel. I mean, I like to do different things with them. So, if I can go to a different place that we haven't been and find different things for them to do, I think it's cool.
Sure.
But I don't know. I don't know if like traveling is like a necessity for a child, especially at their age. They're super young right now.
Yeah.
think it's better when they're a little bit older. They can do more. Like that's
Yeah.
the one thing that sucks with traveling with kids at these ages, like 4 and 2. It's like they can't really. It's not a lot they can do. We can't go hiking or anything.
Yeah.
You're kind of limited to like whatever things a 4-year-old can do, and even then it's like, then I got to split them up. Like so now I'm limited to what everything and a 20-month-old can 22-month-old can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why like right now when I travel, I gotta find places that have like amusement parks and stuff. That's really what I did. Like I know what cities like have like stuff that are like more geared towards kids, because you can't just bring them to any regular city or else they can't really enjoy it. They're not enjoying going out to restaurants or like it's not. You gotta actually have stuff to entertain them and stuff for them to do. You go down to like places like Myrtle Beach is a really good place. Destin, Florida was a really good place. There's all like places that are kind of geared towards families and kids where there's
it's
like,
a
a
little
lot of
different
stuff for
than
them.
somebody like me.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, I like when me and my wife got like even before we got married, we started traveling. Like we were going anywhere. Like it didn't matter. Like we were going to all different places.
I could throw a dart. I could throw a dart at the map.
Yeah, where you want, you'll have a great time. Like, they say it all the time. Pick any city, we'll have a great time. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
But now it's like you're just wasting your money. You go to a city where there's nothing for kids, you're just wasting your money. Like you're going there and you can't do anything. You can't enjoy it as much as you would if you didn't have kids. But I'm not complaining. I mean, it's great.
No, of course, of course. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some traveling over the next few years and getting around, seeing different things, and like I said, from music perspective, art perspective, nature, just nice. I didn't travel much as a kid, but in my early 20s, I did a little bit of traveling, but not anywhere close to where I'd like to. So it's still definitely on my agenda. See some things out there, get out of New York City. Yeah, there's so much. Specifically, even like Europe and like all that kind of stuff would be nice. Like
I gave up on those dreams, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll wait. I mean, like people are like, oh, we're going to Europe, we're doing this. I'm like, yeah, maybe when I'm like 60.
yeah.
I'm not gonna worry about that right now.
Yeah, somewhere down there.
Because I don't even like. That's the thing. Like, I do a lot of road trips. I mean, with the kids, like in a plane, it's like
I forget about it.
It's ridiculous. I mean, just because of the stuff you got to bring, for, like, everything for like a kid. That's the worst when you're traveling with kids who don't even walk yet. Now you got to bring like walkers and high chairs, and it just becomes such a pain, man.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. So I'm like, forget about Europe, man. I'll worry about Europe when I'm older and retired, and I don't have to, drag little kids with me.
right.
But yeah, I mean, I would love to. I mean, there was a point where I was looking up places in Europe, in Asia. I was friends were going to Thailand and stuff. It's like,
Africa.
I'd love to go.
Imagine
Thailand,
that.
Africa. Yeah, Africa.
All these places that are accessible. All these accessible places.
Yeah. I had friends who go to Japan and stuff like that. Like, there's no way I'm doing any of that anytime soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's still fun to travel to in 20 years.
Yeah. Hopefully.
But yeah, you could do whatever you want now, man. You're free as a bird.
Yeah. What else? I have a question for you.
Sure.
What was it like growing up in a Christian household that was like heavily faith based? I guess growing up, it was.
But I didn't grow. No,
right?
Yeah.
So
that's I grew up Roman Catholic.
Okay.
But we didn't really. I mean, I don't know. We went to church every Sunday. Probably up until I was maybe 9 or 10 or something like that. And then we kind of just stopped. And then,
Catholic church.
Catholic church, yeah.
Which is
Our Lady Help of Christians in town.
Oh, right there, yeah. Much different than Christian.
Well, I mean,
I'd say.
Yeah. Well, from what we do now, I mean, it's completely different. But like I try to explain, like even like I went to Sunday school, like communion, confirmation, did all that stuff, and still like felt like I knew nothing about, the Bible or anything about Christianity. It's kind of weird. Like my perspective now, looking at it, and it's not to like hate on, people who have Catholic as their religion, and you could be Catholic and go to church every Sunday and fall in your faith, and that's fine. But I just think what the Catholic Church tries to do is they try to kind of be like this middleman in between you and God, and kind of say, okay, this is all the things you have to do for the church, but don't worry about talking to God. Like, we'll take care of that. You just do these things and we'll tell you what prayers you have to do. Like the whole idea of going to confession is funny. I mean, it's like all you have to do is tell God that stuff. You don't have to. Why are you involving another person? It's just
Why is there
funny.
a broker here between
Yeah.
me and Jesus Christ?
So I mean, I don't know. I guess that's the way I look at it now. It's just kind of weird, the whole Catholic thing. But
so at some point, the household changed to Christianity.
well, not really the household. So the whole story as it goes is my parents got divorced when I was like 20.
Okay.
My mom moved out and bought my dad bought her out of the house, and with that she bought a condo in Woodrow, a townhouse in Woodrow. And not long after that, so maybe I was like 22, my mom wound up finding Christ and becoming very, Christian and involved in the Christian religion. And then from there, her main objective was to get her children to, I guess, find Christ, be born again, as you would say. And my brother and my sister, my brother was having a lot of trouble at the time. My sister basically, I would say it didn't take her long to find Christ after that. Maybe a year or two after my mom did. My brother might have took a little bit longer, or my brother, I don't know if you have history with my brother's past, he was, in and out of jail or rehab or whatever it was at the time. So, for me, it was very different. I kind of saw religion, I guess, at that point as just not even really an option. I guess I was basically pretty much like an atheist, I guess, where I just like
right. So you weren't even open to the idea.
Oh no, like my mom would try to talk to me about it, and I would kind of just laugh at her, like, okay,
whatever. Yeah, whatever.
So I didn't. I tried to. I didn't have any. There was like in my head, I was like, "There's no way I'm ever becoming involved with Christianity at this point." It had been years since any of us had even gone to church for where we used to go, Catholic church or whatever. So to me, and I was also in college at the time, so it was kind of like one of this thing where I guess the stuff they teach you in college and the stuff like you learn throughout life, or you think you learn, you kind of just think of religion as this stupid thing that some people do, and it's silly and you don't need it and blah blah blah, whatever. So I wasn't living with my mom though. So my brother and my sister had kind of lived with my mom, and me and my dad were living together until obviously I met Kristen, and then we bought a house, and then I kind of moved out, and like years and years went by where my mom, my brother and sister were all very religious, and like I said, it wasn't,
and you weren't involved there.
I wasn't really involved in it at all. And it was actually like really bad because it kind of felt like I was cast out from my family. Like they were kind of like had their own thing going on, and there was like a point where it was like a pretty bad divide because I wouldn't accept Christ, and I wouldn't be Christian. They kind of like were almost like moving on in life without me, as far as like, I would still talk to them and stuff, but I wasn't like part of their pack type of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, like I tell the whole testimony where, it was kind of like a little by little steps type of thing with me, where there were things that had happened over time. And one of the main things was when me and Kristen had Hunter. And that was a pretty big revelation for me. As far as the way I felt, I kind of looked at life completely differently from that point on. So, then you kind of like open to the idea, like, okay, let's for his sake, let's start, following, Christ. We'll start going to church and stuff like that. And then, and like I said, there was a point where I was like, all right, I'm full in. And then, you say, okay, I'm fully in, I'm a follower of Christ. And then you kind of, like I said, I only just recently read the Bible. So, read the Bible, it kind of like gave me a completely new perspective on it. So it's like, I feel like
Front to back?
What's up?
Front to back. Read the Bible? Like,
I read yes.
Testament.
I read the New Testament first and then the Old Testament.
Okay.
But I read, so here's what I try to tell people. I read the whole thing. I skimmed through a lot of stuff that, like, you know, it's hard to explain to somebody who doesn't know all that's what I was trying to, and when I did with Mike, I was trying to go through all the different
books.
The books of the Bible, where if you know Leviticus, it's just all the rules and all the laws or whatever. You know, you get 3 pages in and you're kind of like, all right, this isn't, because the Old Testament is a story, right? It's like a very long story. And then, like, you get Leviticus just kind of slides in there and you're like, all right, I want to get back to the story. And you kind of just like, okay, these are the laws, like 20 pages of laws, whatever. And you get back to the story. Not saying that they're not important. It's just when you're in the middle of a story, you want to get back to the story. So I kind of like skim through that.
And you read books outside of the Bible.
So when I was a kid, I used to read books all the time. I would read nonstop. Like when I was in public school, even through like junior high, I read a lot.
Okay.
Into high school, I probably stopped reading as much. And it wasn't until I had a professor in college, and I took an English class, and he was like, all right, he's like, through this semester, we're going to read 10 books. And I'm like, 10 books? I'm like, I haven't read a book in like 10 years. I'm going to read 10 books in this one semester, or whatever it is. And the guy, you know, was like, all right, listen, you have us twice a week. Every time you come in, you're going to have to read like 100 pages out of this book, whatever. And he got me like back into reading again. So I read all these books for the college course, and he had me read some really great books that I'd obviously never read before or even heard about. I got into Jack Kerouac by a lot of, one of the books he had us read was.
I say that to say, because like, I'm curious if you had something to compare, like the power of reading the Bible versus the power of reading another book.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to read. It's just what happens is you kind of like fall out. Once you fall out of the groove of reading, like I think I went like 10, even after that, I went like 10 years without reading. I was reading a ton up until like 2016. I stopped reading in 2016. And then before I read the Bible, I had started reading. I had made it a point to start reading again before I read the Bible. Not really in like preparation for the Bible, just because like I had a whole bunch of books that I had started at one point and didn't finish. And I kind of like was like, just made a decision like, oh, I'm going to read these books. And then I kind of remember being like, okay, I got to finally read this Bible, because like people would like, it's, you know, I'm going to church every Sunday. You try to like have conversations with people about Christian stuff, and they like bring something up and you don't know what they're talking about because you've never read the Bible.
It's not a great feeling.
No, it's not.
I've been there.
So
I've been there.
So I was kind of like, yeah,
not a great feeling.
So I was kind of like, all right, I got to read this thing.
Yeah,
and,
enough's enough.
I put it, you know, the thing is you put it off because you think it's going to suck.
So now, did you just start dedicating X amount of time of your day towards reading the Bible? Or was it kind of just I'll get to it?
Well, yeah, it was like whenever I had free time, like obviously at work, I would, you know, whenever I had free time, I was reading, or when I would read like at home before I would go to sleep. Like I was doing, because I was already like watching TV before I went to sleep. Like, all right, I'll read some and then maybe I'll watch TV after I'm done reading if I feel like I still want to watch TV or whatever. So I would read before I go to bed. And it's just like kind of like whenever I had a free time, like I was able to just, you know, read as much as I could. And, the more I read, the more I was like blown away. Obviously, the more I was learning, but like the more I became like invested into like getting more read. So it was like, once I started Genesis and I was going through, I was like, I just wanted to keep going. I was like, I have to know what happens next. I have to know what happens next. And it's kind of like, I didn't think I thought it was going to be one of these painful reads where I can't pay attention because it's so boring and it's just a chore to get through this. I'm just going to have to power through it and, you know, whatever. And that wasn't the experience at all. So like, that's why it's like, you know, you feel stupid after you try to tell everyone, yo, you have to read this. Like, it's such a great book. But, yeah, I mean, I thought it was amazing. I can reread some of the stuff now. I just go back and you learn a lot from it. You know, have you read it yet or not?
So obviously your sister, like you mentioned, your mother. So I've had many conversations with them, throughout the years in regards to Christianity. And I kind of reached the point as well where I was sick and tired of hearing that question. but did you read the Bible? Like, yeah, you have this to say, you have that to say, but did you read the Bible? Like, yeah, that's cool and all. That's your perspective, but did you read the Bible? Like, just kept.
Right.
I hit a point where I was like, all right, enough's enough. Like, I'm going to sit down and dedicate my time towards reading this Bible. And not only that, I went to rewrite the Bible in my own terms, in my own words. So I had a black and white notebook, a marble notebook. And I sat in the Mustard Seed Cafe that was owned by your mother for a period of time. And I sat in the back of the Mustard Seed Cafe with a Bible and a marble notebook and then proceeded to write. Now it's funny, I'm writing in slang essentially. Jesus pulled up, pulled up on the boat, and made this happen. And I'll tell you that led to I didn't mess with the Old Testament. I started with the New Testament, and then Book of Matthew and so forth. And then started going to church with, your sister and her husband, and started attending, Sunday churches. And I aligned it while reading. It helped. I'd say it was extremely powerful. Whatever was happening was powerful. Whatever, I can't say what was happening. I have no idea what was happening. I just know it was powerful. There was a shift, something. I want to just pinpoint and say the book is powerful. Things are powerful in this world, right? Things from art to words to actions, things we do. That book has got something, something going on. I'll tell you that. It took me a while. I probably sat down over the course of 3 months, consistently every day, maybe 5 to 6 days a week in that cafe. And somewhere along the lines, I stopped and stopped going to church and went back to my old perspective of just like, all right, well, I kind of knew it was powerful, but now I felt the powerfulness of it. Kind of felt like it was powerful. Did it, felt the power, and then moved on, I guess. And, that's where I'm at today. Just moved on.
Oh, really?
That's kind of where that story went. just moved on.
All right.
With that being said, I do know in the bottom of my heart, deep into my soul, there's some power in that in that book. And once you open it up and let it soak into your heart, there's something going on over there. They're on something. And the craziest thing is hearing testimony.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
The same energy when you hear somebody's testimony is equivalent to the same energy as reading the Bible, which is pretty wild. That's what I've come to realize as of recent. I had a friend who almost, passed away giving birth, and she had this, wild experience with God, recently. And now she's, a full, whereas prior to that experience, she, whatever, maybe church on Sunday, typical Catholic, but now she's like, listen, I call him JC, not Jesus Christ, not, it's back to my slang. Like, I was sitting in her, sitting with her recently, and she's looking at me in the eye. I'm like, damn, I had to stop myself from tearing up because her testimony is just that powerful,
Yeah.
And I was able to equate it to me sitting in that cafe reading the book. I felt the similarity of that frequency that she was speaking to me with at the place she was speaking from. I felt that frequency while I was reading the Bible, going to church. And because while I was reading and rewriting, I really was coming in from a sincere place. I wasn't coming in from a perspective of like, whatever, I'm about to read is some bullshit. I know this is all nonsense.
Yeah.
I was coming in like, all right, what do we got? Let's see what we're working with in here. And I was blown away.
Yeah.
I was. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, maybe it's not my time yet. I don't know. You've had your time, Maybe it's not my time yet. I don't know. I don't know. You can't put logic in. That's the thing. I've always tried to apply logic to this. That's always been my perspective. Like logically, come on. Like, are we serious? This really happened? Like, we're really gonna say this is the real? This is the deal? But you can't do that. Because nothing about this world is logical. Nothing about this world is black and white.
There's a lot of ways to look at it. I mean, like, I just remember hearing the stories from the Bible of, like, things that Jesus did and stuff from the Old Testament and just thinking, like, okay, this is all fiction. I mean, like,
Sure.
this stuff doesn't really happen. Like, this is all made up. They're just stories, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, even if you really think about it, without reading, if you really think about it, I mean, unless you really think there's no God, which, okay, if there's no God, then there's no God, then you don't think that stuff really happened.
Yeah.
If you're going to say, well, there's a God, but I don't think any of that stuff happened, or you kind of like, well, if there's a God, then any of that is possible.
Right.
Because God could do whatever he wants.
Right.
Like, there's no limits
Right.
to God. That's the whole point of God.
If you're gonna admit, if you're gonna admit and believe there is a higher power, there is God, then who's to say that isn't the truth, right? Who's to say that that actually happened?
I used to always think like, listen, just because somebody said it or somebody wrote it down doesn't mean it actually happened. But it's funny when you read, even just reading the New Testament and you read those Gospels, you're kind of like, all right, so what am I going to say is happening here? I'm going to say all these people came together and made up the stories together and all lied about it for what? They didn't profit anything. They didn't get any money from this. They didn't, you know what I mean? Like they were actually, most of them were actually tortured and killed afterwards. So, I mean, what would have been the point to lie about it? Like what would have been what would they have gotten out of it to do all this lie about? It doesn't really make sense. So, and
it's sacred text, right? I mean, the text is sacred. The text has been handed down how many years?
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. Yeah, I mean, is that
it's sacred.
You can't really just say it came out of nowhere or something. I mean, we know where it came from. It's basically historical.
Yeah.
I mean, to say that it's not true after reading it, especially, I mean, to say it's not true, and there's just so much behind it. It's so deep as far as all the meanings and all, like, it feels so real. It'd be very hard. Like I always say, like, it'd be very hard for me to believe that somebody would sat there, read the entire New Testament and just was like, I don't believe it. Like, I don't know. Like, it just seems like a very weird perspective to have that after. And I think a lot of the people who talk about how they don't believe in the Bible or think religion is silly, it's like, okay, but you haven't read it. So it's like, what are you really talking about? You're just talking about an idea of something that you've heard, but you have no experience in it. So it's like, you're trying to tell me that something's not real that you know nothing about.
Sure.
I mean, it's just kind of ridiculous. Like, okay, listen, I'll have a theological conversation with you, but you have to go and read that first. You can't just say you're going to have a religious conversation where, it's all fake when you don't know what you're talking about because you never actually read it. Like, I'm not going to try and have a conversation about the Quran with somebody. I've never read the Quran. I've read history books on the start of Islam, but I've never read the actual Quran. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I can debate with you on why the Quran's all made up or whatever. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, I mean, it's one of these things where I have a personal, feel, and this is like a thing with a lot of people where they say, yeah, I'm Christian now, but it's not my place to tell other people that they should be Christian. It's like, well, that's kind of the whole point, though. I mean, the whole point was discipling other people to tell them, like, if like you don't, I don't know, it's weird. It's like you want everybody. I think it's because you kind of feel stupid, right? Like, especially like because I'm going to say, well, I thought it was completely illogical and fake and dumb for the first 30, whatever, 3-4 years of my life. And now I'm going to come around and say, hey, you guys actually really should do this. It's like, well, you didn't do it for however that long you felt that way. So it's like, okay, I get it. I'm not going to argue with you. I understand the point, but I'm going to at least give you my testimony and my perspective from where I'm coming from to give you the best idea of what I experienced and why you should, if for any reason you feel you have some type of urge to pick up the book and read it, you 100% should. And again, that was kind of like one of the reasons I wanted to sit down with Mike and be able to explain what I wanted to explain, was to give people this perspective on the Bible that wasn't all negative, as far as that it would be this daunting task, because it really wasn't for me. And I don't think it will be for a lot of people, as long as they get a translation that's not bad. Like, I chose the easiest translation because I thought the New Living Translation, because I thought the translation, was going to be a problem. And, with the New Living Translation, I thought there was no issues at all. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say every book of the Bible is easy to read. The prophetic stuff is super hard to read. Like, if you want to sit and try to read through Isaiah or Ezekiel.
Well, I just recommend. What do you just recommend? Just go to the book of Matthew. I mean,
Oh, 100%. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, from reading it, the whole
Yeah.
thing. Like, listen,
Gotcha.
100%, the New Testament is where you want to go first.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think the Gospels have the most meaning behind them, and it's very easy reads. There's a lot of stories. The one thing about the Gospel is that stinks is you get a little bit of repetitiveness because it is just the same stories by 4 different people. Sure. But, you know, it's you get some stories that aren't in other because, you know, you're getting different perspectives from 4 different people. So they're not exactly the same. It's not like you're reading the same thing 4 times, but you're going to get repetitive parables from Jesus, repetitive things that Jesus had done or said. And yeah, maybe that'll get annoying once in a while, but I don't know. Those parables and the stuff that is repetitive, some of that stuff is really good to read multiple times anyway. So I wouldn't say it's that big of a deal. Yeah. The other stuff is I felt like was kind of hard to read. All the letters from Paul are a little bit more difficult to read, and that's where it kind of gets a little bit more boring in some parts. But there's still a lot of great stuff in there. I mean, like Romans was really great. Corinthians is really great.
There's good stuff. This is good stuff.
There's good stuff.
This is good stuff.
It's just different because it's when you're reading the New Testament is a lot of like just straight up knowledge as far as like how, if you wanted to figure out how you should live your life in the best way,
a blueprint.
That New Testament is the blueprint. Like there's so many like what I did when I read the New Testament for the first time is I got this little book. It's not down here. I got this little book, and every time Jesus said something that I thought was like super profound, I would just copy it into his book and I would write down.
Yeah, so similar.
And I just kept doing it like, and he would say something, I'd be like, that's awesome. I got to write that down. I'm like, okay, that's great. I need to remember that, and I'll write that down. So I have pages and pages and pages from the Gospels of just stuff that Jesus said that I needed to write down because I wanted to reread it and I didn't want to forget where I saw it or whatever, which is really what you're supposed to do, especially with the gospel stuff, is you're supposed to try to memorize as many as you can so you can kind of like tell other people and tell them where it is in the Bible they can find it and stuff like that.
Right. It's kind of the premise behind the whole thing, right?
Yeah. But I mean, the Old Testament, I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, the story going from just Abraham. I mean, in the beginning of Genesis, it gets pretty crazy, and there's a lot to unpack there. But like, once you get to the story of Abraham, and then like you follow just everything, like all those stories are just, I thought they were really amazing. I enjoyed more. I mean, like I said, most of the Old Testament. Like I said, there's going to be hard stuff to read in there, and you're going to get the Psalms and the Proverbs, which are both great, but they're not part of the story. So you have to like kind of figure out, where the story goes and stuff like that. But there's just a lot of really great stuff, even the Old Testament that I thought was really amazing. So, I don't know. I wanted to kind of try to give that perspective that it's not all just really hard, boring stuff to read, and it's not that it's not that hard to pick it up and start going.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still open. I don't know where the journey is going to take me. I feel a magnetic pull, but I also feel a magnetic pull, in other directions.
Now, when you say a magnetic pull in other directions, as if like pulling you away from Christianity as a whole. Okay.
Yeah, and that could just be the system. That could just be the system we exist.
Well, right. I mean, like my question would be what would make you disinterested in Christianity now? Like what would make you say I might not want to take this route in life?
I think there's
like are there things you
first
disagree
thing that comes
with?
to mind.
I mean,
I guess the first thing that comes to mind is the church, some of the church experiences I've had, and some of the Bible studies I've had. Maybe I shouldn't affiliate those things with Jesus Christ. Being that's just people being people,
right?
And not necessarily the Holy Spirit being active in those moments that I've experienced. But at that time, I was also going to Bible studies weekly.
Okay,
these groups
affiliated with the church or affiliated?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Affiliated with the church I was attending.
Yeah.
At the time. And I just had experiences that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
Okay.
And that led me to,
You should talk to my brother about that, because you ever hear his story with churches? He's been to like 8 different churches. He's got he'll
he could resonate with that. You're saying, like,
yeah. I mean, like he can kind of like, compare what, like, he's went to church for like a year and then be like, you know what, this isn't for us anymore, and then he'll switch churches, and then like he'll do the same thing. I'm telling you, he's attended like 6 or 7 different churches. I mean, he's been at the one he's at now for a couple of years, so I don't know, but yeah, he like jumped around for a while. Him and his wife were like really trying to find a church that they felt fit their, you know, like what they wanted to get out of a church, I guess. So yeah, I mean, he'll be the first one to tell you, don't let the church turn you off from the Bible, but
it's so easy to stray away.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I mean, I know my brother would tell you about that too, because he you know, he has this whole story where he found God and then slipped back into his old ways, and then had to like basically go back and find him again. And I don't really have that experience, but I don't really have a lot to pull me away right now. I mean, I'm kind of in this scenario where I have my family, and that's just all I really care about. And the best way to take care of my family and to make life as easy as possible is just to read the Bible and read God's word and trust in him. And that kind of stuff has really been working for me. It's kind of been a revelation for me, just the way I live my life. Like, you know, like I try to tell people, like, once you're able to hand the trust over to Jesus, like, you don't really have to worry about anything. And it kind of like alleviates a lot of like the stress and anxiety I would normally have on like a day-to-day basis, whether it's like, what, you know, I'm worried about something at work or something financial or something in my future. What are we going to do? Are we going to move? Like all this stupid stuff. Like now I really don't worry about it at all. And it just makes life a lot easier. I can focus on just, you know, taking care of my family and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, like, I always try to think, like, if I was in a situation I was years ago where I wasn't married and didn't have kids, I feel like it would be almost impossible. And I feel like that's like the hardest type of person to try to disciple, is somebody who's kind of like doing everything the way they want to do it. They have full control of their life. They have all the freedom that they want, that they can do whatever they want. And now you're going to tell them, well, listen, actually, you should really live your life by these set of rules. Like, you know, it's got to be tough. You know, I can't imagine telling a 20-year-old me that I would have had to.
Well, people were trying, right? I mean, your own family members were trying, right? I mean,
yeah, they were. Well, yeah, and that's probably why they were unsuccessful. But yeah, it's got to be the hardest, because I mean, like, even I feel like as a child, where you're not at a stage of like a teenager yet, it's got to be a lot easier, and then the older you get, it's got to be harder, and then at some point, I think it's got to be easier again, because once you have a family and realize what's really important in life, and you want to get that goal of just having the best life for your children and being the best person you can possibly be, being the best husband you can possibly be, like, all that stuff is outlined right in the Bible for you. You don't really have to worry about it. Right. But tell 17-year-old me that I couldn't have premarital sex. Like, get the hell out of here.
I met 2 kids at a pickleball the other day. I play pickleball, so I'm outside of the pickleball courts enjoying my time. And I see a iPhone case that says, you know, Jesus loves you. And I look over, and these kids look 18, 19 years old, 2 kids, 2 friends waiting for the next pickleball game to start. And, well, maybe one has like a Jesus shirt on as well, but they look like your regular, you know, Staten Island kids, you know. And I asked the kids, hey, you guys are Christian? And they responded, and we had a conversation back and forth, and it felt my heart warmed up, because I don't see much of that. If I see 2 young 19-year-old kids on the South Shore of Staten Island, they're probably not, you know, these Jesus,
but
like, it's just not, I don't see it. But we had this back and forth conversation, and I started asking them questions. And it was just very heartfelt, like, to see that these kids, one kid made it a point to mention, like, and I'm a virgin. I was like, all right. Cool.
Yeah, well,
one of the kids, I was like, all right. And they invited me to their church and whatnot. They actually attend First Bible, which I believe.
Oh, they're First Bible guys? Okay. I've been there.
Yeah, and it was just, the whole interaction was very, very interesting for me.
Yeah.
It was almost emotional for me, in some shape, way, or form, because they easily could have, like, those 2 guys easily could have just fit the mold of, like, these 2, like, I don't want to say douchebags, but, like, I don't know, just like, you know, just South Shore Staten Island kids. easily. Like the way he looked, the way he was shaped, the way he was born, and it was like for them to just be two like Jesus loving, like pure guys. That's the energy I felt throughout this conversation. It was really heartfelt. I was like, wow, like that's dope.
Yeah.
Like shout out to you guys.
That's cool to see, man.
You guys are
really
really
don't see that.
Yeah, I just don't. I can't recall a time. Obviously if you go to a church you'll meet those people. Obviously if you go to a Bible study, but I just can't recall a time just being in public and seeing like two freaking like Jesus warriors. That's how I felt like they were. Like they were just two like just repping for Jesus, you know. And we need that. We need that. We're down bad. I think as a society, I feel it. I feel like we're pretty down bad.
They say it's coming back. They're saying Christianity is becoming popular again.
Yeah, yo, I need it. I think we need it as a society. But like you said, as somebody who has kind of complete freedom without a wife and kids and whatnot in a family structure, it is definitely, I feel like, more difficult as temptation lies everywhere around you. It's pretty easily, you know, accessible, everything, especially now. So, you know, the power is there on me, you know. It's up to it's up to my
listen, you already have the knowledge. There's nothing I can tell you.
Yeah, now it's just my responsibility to step up. You know,
I could invite you to church, but you didn't, so
yeah,
it's on you.
What church do you go to now?
Holy Mountain Ministries.
Is that where Mike, the gentleman Mike Tess?
He's the pastor there. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I don't know when you say you're going to church every weekend. I don't know if
I was going to one by Brandon and Emma's home, your sister's home.
By her house?
Yeah.
Oh, then that must have been before they were going to Holy Mountain because they go to Holy Mountain.
So yeah, it was right there behind there. I want to say on Castleton.
Okay.
Itself. They would preach in Spanish and English. They would go Spanish, English.
Oh yeah, really?
Which I liked. Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican.
That's cool.
I don't speak Spanish, but I was like, oh, cool. At least I can try to learn some Spanish while I'm here. Now I got two birds with one stone. Come home with Christ and learn Spanish.
Yeah. You know, I actually haven't really. I don't even think I've gone to another church. My wife really wanted to go there. My mom and my sister and Brandon were all going there already. And I think my first time there, I'm trying to remember if it was before this or after, but when my sister had her dedication for Abigail, we went there, and that might have been my first time there. I'm pretty sure it was because I had met the pastor Mike or whatever. I came back to her house. She had a dinner at her house, or you know, a party at her house after the dedication, whatever. So you know, do the whole Sunday church there, and then afterwards we went to her house. And it was funny. I kind of knew the pastor Mike from when I was younger. I used to work in a barbershop, and he used to come in and get cut by the owner. So it was funny because when I'm in church and I'm watching him preach, I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere. And I had figured it out, and then he had came back to his house, and he grabs me. He goes, "Dude, I know you from somewhere." I'm like, "Yeah, from the barbershop." He was like, "Oh my God!" So it was funny. Yeah, I kind of we're actually the same age, so we kind of.
Oh, he's young.
Yeah. He's going to be 37, I think. Wow. He said in May. But it's really his mom, I think, really started it, and then he kind of like he co-pastors it with her. So they kind of like, I think they do like every month they switch on and off. Like he'll do 4 Sundays and then she'll do 4 Sundays as far as like preaching or whatever. But he's really good, man. I mean, he knows his stuff, and the opportunity kind of came to me where I actually went to him looking for somebody to help me with all this stuff, like the audio stuff, because I know they live stream their stuff on online or whatever. So I was like, yo, do you have like an audio guy who can like maybe drop by my house and look at my audio? So he goes, he's like, no, I don't. He's like, what do you need it for? I'm like, I do like a podcast. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, with what? I was like, music. He's like, I'll come do it with you. And I'm like, all right, cool. I was like, sure. And then like I started thinking about it, and that's kind of like where I got the whole idea to do the Christian episode with him, where I basically hounded him for 2 hours, and he probably hated me after. But
nice.
Yeah, like I said, like that was kind of something that I felt I was given an opportunity to kind of like talk to other people who wouldn't have heard me be able to, you know, give testimony and kind of explain things in a way where, coming from somebody who just kind of embraced Christianity over the last couple of years, I'm able to give this fresh perspective and kind of tell them where I was and where I am now and how I got there. And kind of have Mike there to answer a lot of questions that somebody might have if they were, just coming into Christianity or thinking about it, or, why would I pick up the Bible, and kind of like had a lot of these questions all like predetermined, and tried to write everything down and tried to make it an episode where, we kind of got down to a lot of good stuff that would kind of help other people. It's kind of what I was trying to do. I was trying to get into.
Yeah, I
to other
recall.
people's
I
heads and
recall.
stuff like that.
I recall. When you weren't a Christian,
It wasn't that long ago.
right? And I recall, knowing you and being like, wow, like his family is very, it's very Christian, and here he comes, and he's kind of, not having it. So, knowing now that you have accepted, Christianity and whatnot, it's pretty interesting to me. It's like, wow, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
It's not a. I mean, I didn't know you too well, but
still,
it's not something I've seen.
like
I'm sure it's not something you've seen.
No, I mean, like I said, for a long time, I completely rejected the whole thing, and then it kind of comes like in steps where, like, at a certain point, I was like, okay, I remember like telling myself, like, everything in the Bible's fake, but it's still a good guide on how you should live.
Yeah, it sounds like me.
Right? So you kind of,
I was definitely on that energy. I was actually on that energy prior to reading the Bible. That was definitely my sentiment.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then after reading it, I was like, all right, wait.
Oh yeah, well, that, like I said,
I decided to really think that
to read it and say it's not real, it's kind of like,
it's kind of silly.
It's hard. It's hard to read that and be like, this seems pretty real. Like, this is pretty. I don't see any reason why this would be fake. And then, like, again, like I said, you got to grapple with the idea, if there is a God. If there is a God, then all this is possible. You know what I mean? So if all this is possible, and all these people for thousands of years believe it's possible, it's not until things start happening in your life, from praying, like, all this stuff I thought was stupid, man. Like, I pray every day now, and you're able to see these like crazy changes in life where you're like, only God could have done this. Like, this is, I get these feelings where it's like God telling me to do something and stuff like that. And it's like stuff that I would have never believed before. And that's why, like, now I try to read a lot of books on like spiritual warfare and stuff like that, because that's like operating in like the spirit realm where you can like really understand how the good versus evil works in the spirit realm, as far as like the angels and the demons, and how everything is constantly like mind manipulation with you and stuff like that. Like, to say, like, the devil's never going to hurt you physically. He's going to screw with you mentally, and that's what's going to put you in a bad place. You know what I mean? It's like, God is never gonna make you feel bad in any way. That's just the devil manipulating the way you think to make you feel bad. Yeah. Once you like understand that type of stuff, like, it kind of like changes the way, because now it's like, oh, I don't like, those aren't, like, these feelings aren't real. It's manipulation. Like, and then you can kind of like,
it opens up the
so it's like a lot. It gets pretty deep. Like, every time I read a book, you get like deeper and deeper into this world of all this stuff that like you didn't know, and it helps you in real life, and you start to see God's work in real life, and you start to like pray for things, and then things start to happen, and things start to get better in areas where you didn't think, and you're like, it's all real, man. I mean, I can't. That's the hardest thing to try to like get somebody else to believe, is like, yeah, like, God's working like miracles in my life. And like, yeah, okay, God's working miracles in your life, because anyone could just say that, and I have nothing to back it up. Like, I can't, it's just me telling you that. But if you actually read the Bible, that's something physical you can do, and then you can make your own, you can make your own discernments based on what you read. If you listen, you pick up the Bible, read it, and say, this is fake, this is garbage. All right, fine. Like, there's nothing else I could say to you. You know what I mean? That's you're on your own at this point. But I know I know it's real. Like, there's no question in my faith is 100% all down on him. Like, I don't waver at all. He's got all my trust. He's got all my faith. I don't have any of those issues now. So as far as somebody, wanting to argue something with me, it's like you're gonna argue till till your face turns blue. It's you're not gonna change. Nothing's gonna change the way I think. You know what I mean? Hopefully, I could change the way you think, but if I don't, I can't. Then I can't. But hopefully, like doing stuff like what I did with Mike, as far as doing like a monthly thing with him.
Yeah.
Maybe hopefully people will hear something and just because all you really need is that little, just a little.
That's it.
Well, maybe
that's it.
maybe they're onto something. Just get those wheels start turning, and then then you see the miracles happen for yourself, and then it's all good from there. I don't have to do anything else. But if I could just do a little bit to help people realize, and I think it's worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my perspective on it, and hopefully you pick up the book again, and
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. 10-4.
But yeah, I mean, like if you want to come to Holy Mountain, come to Holy Mountain one week.
Where's that
Check it out.
located?
It's in Pleasant Plains.
Oh,
Probably
nice.
Where do you live?
I'm in Tonville.
Oh, you're in Tonville. Oh, you're right there, dude. Come on, man. And you haven't been to Holy Mountain yet? Oh, you're crazy.
Where in Pleasant Plains? I know First Bible's in Pleasant Plains.
It's right next to First Bible. It's literally 2 doors down.
Oh, that's weird. That's odd.
It is kind of weird. It is kind of weird. And because I went to my brother got married at First Bible.
Right, I've been there.
Oh, okay, you were there. Okay, yeah. So that's why, like, it was funny. Like, I remember when they started going to Holy Mountain, and I'm like, it's 2 doors away from the last place we were just at. I'm like, it's so weird. But
so that's your spot. That's where you go.
I mean, listen, I love Mike. I love his mom. Yeah. I think they do a really great job. But they're basically starting a church from the ground up. It's only been going on for a couple of years now. Yeah, I mean they've got like, listen, I mean, like, what my mom, I know, I'm sure you've heard what my mom was doing with the school there.
Yeah.
I mean, like things are moving in a great direction as far as I can see. And I think, like I said, I think Mike and his mom do a really good job. I think, not, listen, I can, here's the thing with somebody preaching, like, it's like, I feel like you can always say, okay, like the way they're preaching this, it could be different.
Yeah.
It could be, they could be doing this, but I don't know. In my head, you're never going to find someone who's doing exactly everything the way you just have to take it for what it is.
Sure.
It's this guy's perspective, and he does a lot of times he'll go up there and preach, and he does an amazing job. And his mom too. They say some really profound and amazing things. And like I said, as far as my mom going there, Emma going there, it just feels like a family now. It feels like we're all there every Sunday. You go to the basement after, have coffee, the kids get to run around and play, maybe we get together afterwards or whatever. It feels very close knit, like, you know what I mean? So it's a nice feeling.
That's important.
So it feels kind of like now, like people, like, oh, would you go somewhere else? And I'm like, I mean, I don't really have any need to. Like, I feel like I'm good. I get to see my family, and now obviously I know Mike and his mom, Pastor Fran, very well. Like, I don't, they've been very good to me. I don't really have any desire to go anywhere else. But it was funny in the beginning because I think Kristen just wanted to go there because, like my mom and Emma, and she like knew people. Like, she didn't want to go to church. She didn't know it. She was like, all right, your mom and Emma are going here. Let's go here. And I was like, oh, it's all the way in Pleasant Plains. We're going to have to drive for a half hour to get there, whatever. I'm like, kind of stinks. And I remember kind of talking like, hey, I can find closer churches. Maybe we can go to one that's like only a couple minutes away and this and that. And she was like, oh, we don't know anybody. And it's funny, like I wouldn't do that now. Like, I've been going there for a couple of years now, or whatever it is.
Has it been that long?
Since we've been going regularly, we've definitely been going regularly at least since Trevor was born. Trevor was born in summer of 2024. Nice. So, I mean, it's been at least, we've been going every Sunday for at least a year and a half.
Nice.
Before that, we were probably going sporadically, like maybe, whenever we felt like it, once a month maybe, or something like that, or, nice. You know what I mean? It started off like just going there, like I said, for like a dedication. And then, like, I don't know, maybe my mom asked me to go because we were going somewhere after. So we went. And then it just like, we kind of trying to as, Hunter got older and then obviously, Trevor was born, we kind of like wanted to make it a point to go as much as possible. So I think after Trevor was born, we were going there. We've been there every Sunday that I'm not working. We go there.
Right.
Yeah, we try to make it this thing is to go there as much as possible. And it's good. It's good to get the word in every Sunday, 'Cause sometimes it's hard to like I try, whether it's through podcasts or where I'm reading the Bible or I'm reading a book about Jesus where they're, or about Christianity where they're putting the word of the Bible in there every other page or whatever. I'm always getting like a little bit of the word in. So like I'm always constantly, like there's this thing I got into a habit of doing it like every day. Like, I don't know if do you listen to any Christian podcasts or no? So there's this guy, Joby Martin does Church of 1122, which is stationed out of Jacksonville, Florida. But he's got like a whole bunch of podcasts based off of this church. But one of the things he does, which is really cool, is he's got this thing called the Daily Blade.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a 5 to 7 minute clip every morning of somebody just going over like a verse of the Bible and then just giving this insight behind it. It's like either him or this other guy. What's the other guy's name? I can't remember now. Kyle Thompson. It's either him or Kyle Thompson basically going over like a verse of the Bible, like explaining it, giving the meaning behind it. And it's just supposed to be like you wake up and get your like word in of the day of the Bible, and they call it the Daily Blade. And they do it every day, Monday through Friday. They don't do it on Saturday, Sunday. But I try to like make it a point, like before I put whatever music or podcast I'm like, let me put the Daily Blade for today on, get that in.
Nice.
So that's a cool little thing you could do just to get like a little piece of the word in. But yeah, I think, getting together at church every Sunday, I think it's good.
The energy is important, right?
Yeah,
the energy is important.
The community,
it's
like
important.
You always get something out of it. Like even if it's like you weren't like a fan of the part of the Bible they want to, you always get like something out of it, which is like kind of refreshing,
Yeah.
And if not anything else, like it, like, because sometimes like I'm just in a bad mood. Like I got out of work and I'm like stressed out and I'm running around with the kids are jumping off the wall and they're breaking something to drive me crazy and, whatever it is. And then you just, you get to church and kind of just be able to sit and like relax and change your whole mood. And, you always come away like feeling a lot better. So it's something like that too, which was always good.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm surprised my sister hasn't invited you, but, definitely come by. It's, the Church of St. Mark's or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you if you want to.
I'm sure she's invited me. I'm sure she has invited me. That's just like, maybe.
Oh, you give her one of those? Yeah, sure, I'll come by.
Yeah. If I'm free. If I'm free that day. Man. That knowing and not going may potentially be worse than not knowing and not going.
Yes, sir. I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it, really. I mean, it depends, man. I mean, like, listen, I know people who are like full Christians and they're just anti-church and they just don't want to go to church. Like, so I mean, like going to church is one thing. I mean, like I said, if I was you, even if you don't want to go to church, which is fine,
read.
Try to read just even a page, or like I said, just put on the Daily Blade.
Yeah,
you get 7 minutes of your morning.
Anything helps,
and it just gets like a little bit in you, and it changes the way you start your day. You know what I mean? Changes the way you start your day for the better. It's not going to make anything
even
worse.
starting with something as simple as that, right? Even starting with something
just a little. I mean, listen, I do it every day.
Keep it simple. At the end of the day, like I do think the family aspect. And church, I can see that connection, like you talked about. Like you just mentioned yourself, you get out of work, kids are running around. I can go to church with my family, breathe. We walk out a better family, essentially, in a better energy, in a better state of mind. I could see that. I could see that connection there. But like you said, anything closer to Jesus is a win, right?
Oh yeah, anything. And, I mean,
from a prayer to the Daily Blade to
from a prayer to a page of the Bible to doing the Daily Blade to going to church every Sunday. I mean, and there's people who go to church every Sunday. Like you hear that story. On Sundays I go to church, but Monday through Saturday I'm just sinning. I'm just living life like I don't know Jesus. So. So going to church is not everything. It's a way of life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, it's just like you're choosing to live life a certain way,
Right.
and it's not easy. That's the whole point. Like it's not easy. Like everybody screws up and does mess
Sure.
up stuff, and that's the whole point. Though the whole point is acknowledging it and being, the repentance. All right, I screwed up. I'm sorry. Forgive me, Jesus. And then you just go on and try to get better at whatever you're doing, and that's kind of like the whole point of it, right? The whole point of Jesus dying on the cross was so that you can sin and you can say, I'm sorry, and I'm, gonna try to do better, and you do better, and it's just trying to live a better life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's comes to a point where, you want to be a better person, and this, you gotta try a little bit, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or just stuff you just don't know that, you read in the Bible and then you realize like, okay, I could do this better. I could do this better. I could do this better, and just a lot of different things. You don't realize the whole the forgiveness thing, the whole love your enemies thing. There's a lot of those things that a lot of people don't realize are in there that would really change the way society works if everybody was just to try and abide by those rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Try to little bit, little steps at a time,
That's
and
it.
try to get better, a little bit better every time, every day,
Yeah.
little steps. But yeah, man, it's getting late. Let's
Yes.
wrap this up, man.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Steve, for coming. I appreciate it,
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely.